Welcome to our public. Thank you. We've now resumed the public.
There's more coming.
Yes, fantastic. So we've now resumed the public part of the meeting. We've had to change the agenda around slightly because of availability of officers. So we're now moving to item 5, moving item 5 forward to the public forum. And that is the financial management report is at 31 December on page 6 of the agenda. And I will hand over now to.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'm here to present the half-yearly financial results for you to note. So in this report, we have our P&L for December, i.e. the profit and loss statement. We also have the some of the following attachments are the Wellington water dashboards that are not produced by us, but are there for your information. You may, if you have been on council before, you may have noticed that we have changed the reporting slightly. So now as part of your attachments, you get a comprehensive revenue and expense report for each of the activities that we report on in the long-term plan and annual plan. We have our balance sheet in there, and then the capital reporting and the dashboards that I talked about in the Wellington waters.
Excellent. Do members have any questions relating to the report? Councillor Swales.
Thank you.
No problem.
I've got a number, but my first one is on page 6 under 13, and it's around the Greater Wellington Regional Council. So we understand that the project is below budget by 833k. As the project has been paused whilst the next steps are confirmed, when will the confirmation of the next steps and what they will look like come back to us as governance?
Through your worship, I might actually pass that to the group manager of operations.
Okay, that's right.
All right. It's trying to find out where Wellington Water was. Sorry, they were supposed to be here, and I've not turned up. So I just wanted to. Sarah and I can't answer questions on the Wellington Water dashboard. We were expecting them here, and they're not here. So I was just trying to figure out.
I'll pass that to Councillor Spells to re-ask the question.
My apologies.
I'm on page 6. And it's para 13, and basically it's talking about the Pinehaven stream project as being, below budget by 833k. The project is on pause. When will we know what the next steps are? When will they be confirmed? And when will we as a governance get to know what that outcome is?
So through your worship, so we're in the process of, and we recall the last workshop we held, we're in the process of tidying up and looking towards bringing a report to council in the next council meeting.
Okay. The reason why I ask it is that, workshops are just directional, but minutes and committee meetings are where things get documented, and the community who may not have watched the workshops know that, yes, this is the next step. So that's why I asked it. Thank you.
Is it a follow-up or a next?
No, it's a next question.
I'll go and then I'll come back to you.
Yeah.
My question is around the potential for the next half of this year to be a little bit more volatile in terms of increased potential costs from contractors, for example, for things like fuel. How does the position that we're in at 31 December, I guess, support or buffer us in terms of the need for us to potentially spend more in a event of fuel shortages exacerbating?
Yeah, through your worship, as you can see on the P&L, we are tracking quite a bit below budget of where we would be for half year. So there is quite a bit of buffer. Well, not quite a bit of buffer, but there is some small bits of buffer where we thought contracts would have larger increases. There were budgeted for larger increases, and we haven't seen it to that extent. However, because it's still unfolding, we don't know realistically what the fuel will do to cost at the moment. It's still being worked through. But at this stage, we are comfortable that there is buffer in there to take on the effect.
Councillor Spells.
My next one is on para 14, when we were looking at the fees and the income is above budget by 1.68 million, and the figures that you got there, they didn't add up to that. So I'm wondering where the difference comes from to make up that above budget. So when I read it, fees and charges income is above budget by 1.68 million year to date. Most significant contributors, and when I add the contributors, it doesn't come up to the 1.68. What are the other contributors?
Through your worship, so we are just saying the significant ones in there. Other ones that I have not mentioned are like property rentals, that's currently sitting at 100K above budget. That is likely timing, just because of we will build them all in July and the budget is split over 1/12. Some of the other smaller ones are cemetery charges. They above budget. That's quite a hard one to forecast. They are probably the most significant other ones. Off my very high level P&L.
Yeah,
so on para 18, it talks about the largest variance in the contractors and consultant budget lines. 1.8 million of the contractor variance will be permanent savings due to the expenses no longer required to be paid. Is it in which area is that mostly relevant?
Through your worship, that was through legal. That was a cost that we were anticipating that we no longer.
Excellent, Councillor.
thank you. So I'm going to comprehensive revenue and expenses on page 11. So what was the total budget we had in the budget for the transition costs?
Through your worship, sorry, was that for the local water dump one?
Yeah.
Off the top of my head, I think it's around 1.5 million.
So it's more than the 1.1 million that we said, sorry. Thank you. So it's more than the 1 million that we thought we had as stranded costs. It's 1.5.
So that's, sorry, through your worship. So that 1.5 is to cover things like our contribution to the regional working group for Te Akiwai. It's to cover internal costs that we are currently getting for setting up systems. That's what that cost is intended for. Budget is intended for.
Right. So when we know once the transfer is done and those stranded costs, would we be looking at debt funding those costs?
Through your worship, yes, that so of that 1.5, 1.4 million is debt funded in 25-26, and that will transfer over to Te Akiwai.
I've got one now.
Yeah, go.
On page, para 14, it talks about the fees and charges income is above budget, and then talks about H2O charges. I wonder what was the main reason for that? Is it more attendance than forecast? Is there a reason why we is that because it opened and it was hard to forecast, or is it?
Yes, through your worship, absolutely. Because it was so new when we had done the 25-26 budget, we weren't entirely sure what it would look like when we opened it, and we've just far exceeded what we were expecting to come through.
Excellent.
Great result.
Lots of people want to use the pool. That's fabulous. Councillor, do you have a further?
Yeah. Through you, your worship, is Wellington Water going to be here, or am I going to ask you?
Right. How about you answer the question and then we'll decide whether we
can answer
what we can do. I'll make a call.
Yeah.
Thank you. So I'm on page 18. Okay, and basically when I look at the summary of year-to-date December results for the BAU OPEX, right, metering program is 11% 650 under budget. We put, I thought, only 500K towards water metering this year, and yet they're talking about a program is 11% 650 in the budget. I'm not quite sure how that.
We should park.
Yep, so I could take that to Wellington Water and get an answer.
Thank you, because in our budget, we did put that 500K for water metering, and I was wondering where the 650 came in the. Okay, thank you.
And so we'll park that question and come back to you, but I'm assuming if we're just deciding on noting the report, you're still happy to take the.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. And my next question on the same page is unexpected event reserves. Do we know how much is there, knowing that there was some money carried over and they said that they would put that in the unexpected event reserves commentary, but there's no figure in there.
So, also to take away?
Yeah, I'd simply take that away and ask the question. My understanding is there was zero in there, but
Yes.
That's through you, Chair, yes, 0, so it was used.
But no, in this report, it's saying that there's been an underspend and that's where the money's going. And I'm wondering, well, where is it and how much?
Through you, Chair. So the unexpected reserve for Wellington Water, it was a reserve that was set up, so if they had underspend in OPEX,
Yeah,
they could take 10% of what was left and put it into the reserve.
yeah.
If whether that would happen this year, I don't think it would, because we're moving into TRQY, but I can confirm there is no money in the account.
Okay.
Any other members have any other questions? Councillor Welsh?
Through you, Chair, just on 15, it just mentions that personnel costs are down by about 170.
So the lot of personnel
Sorry,
costs are down
personnel
by.
costs below budget by about 107k. This was at the end of December, and I know we've taken on a couple of new advisory roles, so would that have pretty much cancelled that out?
Through your worship. Yeah, so the variance at the moment was largely just because of vacancies that we've had throughout the year that we've been carrying, but I would expect by full years that.
Oh, thank you.
Further questions? One more, Councillor.
So on page 19, if you go to wastewater, which is once again the Wellington Water project, in the second bullet point, the Western Hills main waste water, a significant portion of the contingency was not required. The contingency on this project is higher than normal. And then it goes, state hire was to cover events such as having to disestablish and re-establish. So that was an expensive budget line for us, for both councils. So if there was an underspend, where would that be reported and where would that money go?
Through you, your worship. In previous years, if we had underspends of Wellington Water, you will know that we've carried them over.
Yeah.
However, this year, I am not entirely sure how that will work with the transition. We will take a point at June, say that is what we're transferring over into. I couldn't tell you what it will look like for underspends in the next financial year for them.
So
That's something I could come back to you on.
when will we get clarity on that? Because, you know, we've known that we as a council have had a number of carryovers with regard to OPEX and CAPEX. And it's because they haven't had the capacity to do the projects or spend the money that we've had. So
I'm conscious that Wellington Water aren't here to answer questions, but we will come back to you on those.
right.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank
Any
you.
further questions? Okay, I'll move that we note the report, and do I have a seconder? Councillor McLeod, would anyone like to speak? All those in favour say aye. Oh, yeah, sorry, I thought that you were saying you were going. Councillor Carey.
It's irrelevant to the vote anyway, but I guess this timing of this, I know it's a noting paper, Your Worship, but would probably be good to note ahead of things like setting the fees and charges, because if revenue for the pool is sitting at 348k above, then like other than that $5 the spectator fee, which is more around theft and security and things like that, you know, we might not be voting the same way on fees and charges. Yeah, it's quite good to inform those decisions.
That's noted. Shall we re-vote now that, or are we happy, everyone happy that we've moved on? Okay, fantastic, thank you. I declare that carried. That is a really good point now, that when we get to fees and charges. Item 6, debtors report. I assume we can take this as read unless you have anything to add.
Through your worship, no, I have nothing further to add.
Fabulous, any questions? As well.
It's always good to get the debtors report and as governance to actually get a bit of a litmus test of where we are with regard to the number of units that are struggling to pay their rates. With regard to that, do we see, when I look at the graph, it's climbing. And I see that with the increase costs that a lot of our families are having to bear, do we have kind of a contingency with regard to our rates department? I know we do a great job going out there, but are they talking to people a little bit further? Because the numbers are starting to creep up quite significantly, and in areas that I'm quite surprised that haven't been reported before are starting to come into that high area. And if you were to take a demographic of our community, you would think, oh, that's a signal that we should be aware of.
So the question is in relation
Yeah.
to,
What
are
we
we,
doing?
are we seeing an increase and and then
What are we
you
doing?
said if I was, you
Yeah.
answered the question?
Yeah, so through your worship, yes, we have seen an increase in total arrears, but if you do look at the comparison to last year, we're actually very on par with where we were last year, which is a fantastic result for the rates team. They are trying really hard to work with people quite early.
Yeah.
This year we have made it a point to get in contact with people early. So if we see a missed DD, we are following up, we are asking them, can we help them? And we're a very small rates team, so we are doing the best that we can. I have got some stats that I'm happy to share with you about how many letters we're sending out, how many people first, second, third reminders. I'm happy to share those stats. We used to put them into the report, happy to share them, but you can see there are a number of, the letters are growing, but we are definitely working harder with people. And whilst 2,000 looks very high, if you look at our June result, we actually only had about 1,000, which is very small. So it seems really high, but it actually is a really good result.
Just one more
Follow-up?
subject. Thank you, Your Worship. So those that are on a DD are usually paying a little bit before the 4-monthly cycle, right? So we're catching them before penalties are hitting their account. Is
Through
that
usually,
right?
so anyone who is on a DD wouldn't get a penalty. So if you're already on a DD, you do not get penalties because you've already got an agreement basically in place.
Yeah.
So it's catching those who are not on DD and reminding them, hey, your rates are due. So we do email reminders. It's too expensive and timely to send out post reminders to people that week before email. So we do the best we can.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Lance. Any further questions, councillor Hernandez?
Thank you. Trentham and sorry, I'm on page 27 or 5. Trentham in 2024 was miles up and it's been cut back. Was that because of 1 or 2?
Through you, yes. Yeah.
Right. Now
It was one rate payer with multiple properties.
but yes, yeah. Is that still the same? Because although it's down, it still says here that there's 300 and where are we? 389 units that are still affected on that. Which
Through you, Chair. So no, that particular issue has closed. Trentham is just such a big suburb, so there is a lot of properties in there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, further questions? All right, then I have a member. Councillor Carey, seconder, councillor Holderness, those in favour? Aye. Okay. So we're now moving backwards in our agenda to the public forum. We're just going to take a 2-minute agenda for Anisha to use the bathroom, and we will have Stephen Pattinson first. So I'll get you to get yourself ready for a public forum, and we'll reconvene in 2 minutes. that 2 minute adjournment turned into 5 minutes as it always does. We all
What point?
You're all good?
Yep.
Okay, so we're moving into item 4, which is public forum. We have 5 speakers today. And before we begin, I'll just outline, I'm sure everyone speaking has spoken before, but we want to ensure that everyone has a fair chance to be heard. But it means we need to have 5 minutes per speaker. A bell will sound at 4 minutes. And that will be when you should begin to wrap up, and then we will have questions from the councillors. Please speak clearly, focus on your key points, and if you agree with something that has already been said, you're welcome to acknowledge that rather than repeating. I also ask that anyone who is here coming that has been before, to avoid repeating and remain on topic as well. So councillors may ask questions for clarification, but it won't be an opportunity for debate. Thank you. We'll move to our first speaker, who is Stephen Pattinson from Flooding Us. Welcome.
I'm just wondering how this operates. Where do I point it?
Have a go, see if it works. Click just at one across. Can you point it over this one? We'll wait to start the timer until you're ready. Yep.
An idiot.
Little thing today. Yeah, I've used them. I use them a lot, and they always touch on that.
Okay, we're going to use a pigeon signal, it sounds like. So over to you, we'll start the timer.
Your Mayor and councillors, I'm here today to ask you to choose option 2 of the annual plan, that is not to adopt it today, so that the Pinehaven stream improvements can first be brought properly into the open. This is not a minor project anymore. Originally estimated around 10 million, now floating somewhere around 58 to 60 million, as you know. Today, based on there's only early stages that have been completed, later stages are on hold, the project has been reviewed and alternatives are being considered. That is not business as usual, that is a materially changed project. In the first slide, this shows Greater Wellington's model 25-year flow used for designing the stream works, and it's about double the real world 25-year flow. This next slide shows council's future case scenario for a company development on the forest hill above Pinehaven. It's just showing you the scale of the purple area. The third slide shows the scale of this future case scenario, roughly the size of Wellington Airport and Wellington Zoo combined, and asks a simple question: how plausible is it that doing nothing to manage stormwater, a development of this scale, replacing forested hills, would make almost no difference to flooding in Pinehaven and Silverstream? We know from a Lagoima response why this scale of development does not increase flooding. The baseline flood model uses assumptions that treat the forested hills above Pinehaven as if they are already urbanised, as if a development of this scale is already in place. The promised flood protection is not being delivered. The stream works begin downstream of Pinehaven Reserve, and those of us living upstream of Pinehaven Reserve receive no flood protection from the stream works. This is a major change in scope and level of service. Slide 4 brings us to governance and transparency. We have reviewed Upper Hutt, Greater Wellington and Wellington Water's long-term plans, annual plans and annual reports from 2021 to the present to understand what has actually been spent and what is now proposed for the Pinehaven stream improvements. What we found is that the public financial record is fragmented and extremely difficult for an ordinary ratepayer to follow. Even now, we cannot see clearly the full cost of the stream works, the expenditure to date, the apportioning of costs between Upper Hutt and Greater Wellington, the revised scope, the level of protection now actually being delivered. or who is accountable for final decisions. And that is despite the cost escalating from around 10 million to about 60 million. There has also been no consultation with the Pinehaven community on those changes. This is a governance issue. Upper Hutt's own annual report, 2024-25, says that after handover in early 2025, subsequent phases are now being managed and delivered directly by Upper Hutt City Council. Yet there is still no clear public statement of who is now responsible for governance, decision-making, delivery, and accountability on the remaining phases of the project. If even elected members and the public cannot clearly tell who is responsible for the remaining phases, then governance is still not transparent enough for further decisions to be made today. Since December, we've been asking Council in good faith for proper engagement on the evidence we have provided, including through our book, Flooding Us. What we are asking for is reasonable. Before any further commitment to public funds to the Pinehaven Stream Improvements Project, we ask the Council to report clearly to the community on the current status, total cost, expenditure to date, cost splitting, and any proposed changes to scope, to review the flood modelling assumptions that are informing the project, and to engage the community properly, including through an open workshop involving relevant council staff and consultants so that the evidence can be tested. So my request is simple. Choose option 2, do not adopt the annual plan today. The project is currently paused, so use this pause to bring the Pinehaven Streamworks fully into the open and let the community understand and comment before this council commits any further funds to this project. I'd like those presentation slides to be tabled.
Thank you so much for your very clear presentation. Can I make an assumption? Are you Sue?
Yes.
Oh, kia ora. Are you happy to go together, or are you speaking as well? Like
I'm speaking as well.
Okay, so would you like I'm happy for you to take questions together if you want to speak now. And
Oh, no, second take
questions, and then we'll go to you, and you can sure, no problem. Councillor McLeod.
Thank you. Could we go back to the first slide? This one here. So in our most recent, through you, Your Worship, in our most recent flood, where does that fit in that?
Sorry, in your
most recent flood?
in the February 2026.
Yes. Where does it fit in that with those dotted red lines?
You can see the bottom red line. That was 2019. That was a 25-year flood. And you can see that's a couple of 100 millimetres above the timber retaining wall. Can you see a person just standing there?
Yeah.
And the retaining wall gives you an idea of height.
Yes.
In February, it just came to the top of that retaining wall.
Okay.
We think it was about a 15-year event.
Right, okay.
And in that 15-year event, Pinehaven Reserve was not flooded at all. And yet your 10-year flood maps showed Pinehaven Reserve in a 10-year event totally flooded.
Okay.
It didn't even happen in the 25-year event. So this is one of the ways that we know that the modelling is completely wrong. The assumptions are wrong.
Any further questions?
Thank you.
Excellent. You're welcome to stay if we'll
Thank
go
you.
to Sue. And so I'll move on to Sue.
on this 5 minutes. Oops, can we start again?
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. Kia ora, Mayor and councillors. I ask that council choose option 2 and not adopt the annual plan today. The Pinehaven Stream project is still on hold and there's still no clear public reporting of its full cost and expenditure. The costs I won't repeat, but just to say that is clearly a material change, and I do not accept that no formal consultation is required. I ask council to pause so it can report clearly on the community on cost, scope and accountability, review the flood modelling assumptions behind the project and consult the public on what happens next. This is a matter of governance, public safety and prudent stewardship of public money. 2 months ago, we gave you all our book, Flooding Us, which we hope that you thoroughly read. The Mayor replied that she was not aware of evidence showing the modelling overstates flood risk or was influenced.
Today, due to the time limit, I can only summarise some of the evidence briefly. Some of the evidence, the flood maps are inflated. There is not one isolated concern. There is multiple consistent lines of evidence, all pointing to the same conclusion. One, ground truthing was ignored. Long-term residents from Pinehaven said right from the start the maps did not match lived experience of past floods. They presented the evidence in interviews in the council. They were dismissed as you can't rely on people's memories, and yet that's what we asked last year in the regarding the upper maps. And the maps have still not been properly ground truthed against real flood events, so no ground truthing. Number two, SKM contradiction. SKM first identified flooding as a constraint to development, then later concluded that 125 hectares of development would make no measurable difference downstream. That is not credible. Three, OIA evidence showed the same rainfall loss assumptions were used for both the post and pre-development. That means the pre-development model effectively treated the hills as if they were already developed. 4, Becker audit inconsistency. The Becker audit said that MWH could not explain the lack of difference between the pre and post, but an OIA evidence showed that they did explain it and that explanation was not disclosed. Real flood events do not match the maps. We now have 2 significant storms, which we've thoroughly documented and sent to council, December 2019, February 2026. And the observed flooding does not match the mapped extents. For example, Pinehaven Reserve was showing we had no flooding in those storms, and yet the 10-year map shows it inundated. Property level distortion. Our property ground levels were altered in the audit, and 300 millimetres caused our property to flood, and 300 millimetres of freeboard was added on puddles and overland flow as floodwater on our property, creating false appearance of it totally flooded. We had it independently audited, the council refused to correct it. That's why I say some of the reasons why we say the maps are wrong. Evidence the outcome was predetermined. 2 simple questions. Why were the pre and post development runoff conditions treated the same? Why would you do that? Doing that removes the impact of the development from the model. Why has Pinehaven's map still not been updated despite clear evidence and opportunities to do so? That is not a neutral decision. It's a decision to continue relying on potentially flawed modelling. Supporting evidence includes identical runoff assumptions, no independent rebuild of the hydrology, stream works based on inflated flows, removal of stream gauges, and refusal to update our maps, even though other catchments have been. In closing, these are not minor technical issues. They go directly to public safety, financial stewardship, and council's governance responsibility. While this project is paused, this is the time to ask, does the flood model actually reflect real-world flood behaviour? If not, council risks locking in wrong infrastructure, wrong costs, and wrong decisions. That's why I'm asking you to choose option 2, take the time to get this right. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll move to any questions from councillors. Councillor Hammond.
Yeah, hi, Sue. Hey, I understood that the February flood risk houses in Blue Mountains, Birch Grove, couple in Whiteman's Valley Road, and Willow Park. Is that what you've got? Do you think?
We actually gave the council a report on that flood and the flooding that occurred in Pinehaven, and properties, I think it's about 30 to 36 or something, Pinehaven Road, that area that always floods, they did get flooded.
Right, get 12 houses, I think. I'm only going from memory of what I was told.
But I
We're
don't
at
go back
risk.
to look at that report, but that has been recorded. We can get that information for you. Why were you asking?
Right, just that was a pretty significant flood. And
Yes.
and the ones that we've had before were flooding further up because of debris in the streams going across the road, just problems. This one worked. It actually worked. What the work that's been done up till now seemed to have worked. It only put at risk some of the lower lying houses. Is that right?
You'd have to actually be comparing apples with apples, like Streamworks are designed for to provide up to 25-year flooding protection. Really that flood, if it was only about a 15-year flood event, it would be difficult to say what impact the work done. I tell you what did make a difference is it normally floods around the Della Grove Sunbray intersection because those sumps get blocked.
Yeah.
And we did notice a resident clearing those sumps because normally they can't clear, and so that whole intersection gets flooded. But in February, it was dry. I mean, it was wet, but it wasn't flooded. So that was one difference we did notice. Yeah.
But still, the 10-year flood maps show Pinehaven Reserve underwater.
Yeah.
And it wasn't.
And it wasn't. And just one other point, Councillor Hammond, if I can say, there has never been anything reported about how effective is a $60 million Streamworks on a 100-year flood event. And if you look at the national flood map that's been put out recently, basically nothing. They're not actually doing anything to help anything in a 100-year event, according to the current national flood map. It's the same as
I'll just move to any further questions because otherwise we'll end up in debate. Is there any further questions from council? No, awesome. Thank you both.
Thank you.
And next we have Elaine Chaney. Is it Chaney? So Elaine is also speaking to agenda item 9. And welcome if you have similar points or if you've made points to us in the past, you can refer back to those. Welcome, Elaine.
I have 3 questions for council. Sorry, Mayor and councillors. I have 3 questions which I put and I sent everybody the email, and I have since received a reply through the CEO from a lady called Kate answering my questions.
So that's Kate Thompson, the CFO.
So what I would like to do is read my questions and then I would like answers.
So you have already provided those questions to us via email, so we have already received them. Do you have anything further to add in the public forums? We've already received that correspondence.
I'd still like to read the questions out, but for the people that are listening on Zoom.
So in our standing orders, if you're repeating points that have already been made, then it's the same as what we've already received. So we've already received those comments. As I understand, have all councillors received the comments from Elaine? Yes or no? Yes. Yes. So you're welcome to elaborate on any of that if you'd like.
Okay. My first question related to the direct debits, which we have been told we have to put in place by the 30th of June. One for council and the other one for Metro Water. I want to know why I have to put in a new debit for council when council already hold one.
So these questions have been asked of council and they have been answered.
No, that particular question has not been answered. That part of it has not been answered. Why do I have to have them in place by the 30th of June? When I've already you've had a direct debit for 10 years and it's been altered every year upwards. In this case, the debit would need to be altered downwards. Is that a possibility on the existing debit?
You've got 5 minutes, so it's not a time to ask us questions, but you've got 5 minutes to present, so you've got 3 minutes left.
Okay. Secondly, I wanted to know about whether or not the percentage increase on rates was going to be added to rates before the water charges were taken out. I've been answered that no, it will be after the change has been up, so I'm quite happy with that. And basically what I really need to know, since I can't read everything out, is why I have to change the debit. And if I put in do a debit for Wellington Water Metro Water on the 30th of June, will I be able to pay pay that direct debit from the 1st of July? Because I understand that the water is going to be quarterly, and I don't want to wait a quarter and then have to come up with a quarter's worth of money. Do you understand what I'm saying?
So this is your time to present to us, and then afterwards we'll ask you questions if there's any questions from council.
That is my question.
Okay, so do any councillors, you finished your speaking time, is that what you're saying?
I've finished because you said I can't read the whole thing, so I've just the points that I am concerned about.
Councillors have any questions for Elaine? Councillor Carey.
Thanks, Elaine. Would your preference be there were options for direct debit from water? Is that?
I do everything by direct debit.
And is your preference that there's like monthly as well as quarterly or?
Fortnightly on pension day. Yeah.
Councillor Swales.
Thank you for coming along and putting these questions to us. I'm reading between the lines, and from the questions that you posed and the answers that you've got, is that what you would like to know from the 1st of July, what is your quarterly bill going to be so that you can manage your direct debit? Is that the question that you would like an answer to?
Direct debit, you need to know that there's $50, $100, $150. At this stage, I put in a debit. Am I going to be paying from the 1st of July? I mean, I only need an approximation just so that I don't get a bill after 3 months.
So
I like to pay as I go.
Yeah, that's okay, Your Worship. So just for clarity, and I think it's important because if the question hasn't been answered, the direct debit, you want to know what the amount is, and the only way that you will know what the amount is if you know quarterly how much you're going to be charged. Is that correct? So you'd like, as of the 1st of July, you would like to know what your quarterly water rates will be so that you can manage with fortnightly payments.
Well, I suppose it is, yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Further questions?
And that you are actually going to accept those direct debits.
Thank you, Elaine. I suggest if there are questions that you've asked and you've received an answer and you haven't, and there's still outstanding questions, I suggest you come back to the email that you got sent from Jeff Swanson and or Kate, and they can come back to you on the detail around that. Thank you for your time. Excellent. Next we have oh, sorry,
if it's okay. Because these questions were questions that were sent to us, but we were under the impression that Elaine was going to come and talk to us. Will these be attached to the minutes?
Would you like them? Would you like your questions attached to the minutes?
Yes, please.
Sure. Yeah, we can do that. Just the questions
And the answers.
and the answers.
And the answers.
And the answers. They go to that. We have them on our records. Because they're from us. Yes, I'm happy to table them, both the questions and the answers. Does that sound okay to you? Yes, excellent. So next we have Kate
Thank
and
you, Your Worship.
no problem. That was a good suggestion. We have Kate and Paul Fabian speaking separately, or would you like to come sit together?
Both sit together like they did, and then just
yeah, sure. Yeah, sure. I would suggest if you have to refer back to each other if you have.
They're completely separate.
they're completely
Okay,
separate.
fabulous, excellent. You've done this before. Which of you would like to go first?
Because mine is about the citizens panel. And
And would you like to have, would you like to go one each and then have questions for both of you, or would you like to have questions separately?
after my one, because they're two totally separate, so.
Okay, I'll hand it over to Kate.
Okay, Pura and your worship and councillors, I'm speaking on option item 9 annual plan. Today, my submission is in regard to the citizens panel according to the article written on the Upper Hutt City website, dated 4th of August 2025. I'd like to start with a quote from it, which reads, "For community feedback supporting our decision making with insights gathered through surveys." I feel my submission is fairly simple and shares others' concerns. And I think the way that Elaine has just experienced, I think there needs to be some more questions. Where are the outcomes for these surveys, and when and how will we see these outcomes? For example, meeting times from the recent survey I took time to fill out and submit, as I believe others did.
I would like to take a few minutes to read some statements followed by my responses. If I may, for those new councillors and others who may not have seen this article. As I believe from this article and joining the panel, it helps to guide our council in its annual plan and LTPs. Comments from this article by the Upper City Council and CEO Jeff Swanson, published the 4th of August 2025. Statement. This is a valuable opportunity for council to hear directly from a broad cross-section of our community. My response to this comment, agreed, our community deserves to be heard and a broad cross-section of our community. Even more importantly, now that we have it's becoming very diverse. Statement. It's encouraging to see such strong interest and tells us our community is ready and willing to be involved in a meaningful conversation about the city's future. And after Elaine's, I would need to think about how we treat our members of the public if they are put on the spot, as I felt Elaine was. Response, agreed, 300 plus citizens engaging at the time of the article is great. And how does Upper City Council keep the lines of communication meaningful, transparent and open and welcoming, especially when it appears outcomes are not shared? Statement, we will continue to encourage members of our community to sign up. My response, why would the citizens panel participants want to continue if they take the time and the outcomes are not shared? Or am I missing something? I mean, are these being published somewhere that we haven't been able to find? So to sum up, where are the outcomes for these surveys? And second, how and when will this information be shared? Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Okay, I'll start with a question. Would you like to see the outcomes of surveys such as the recent one on elected member engagement and meeting times workshopped in a public forum, so we have scheduled workshops, and would you like to see them come to a workshop where we discuss them on a recorded session?
I would like to see the outcomes. The people have taken time to fill out these surveys. They've taken time to think about their answers very carefully. They've respected the survey that's come out, and yet they do not seem to have been emailed back with any responses or any outcomes. And I feel that that's a little bit disrespectful to those that have taken the time to do that.
So there's a press release coming imminently, and we're going to workshop at the next available opportunity those results, because it's further than the timing. It's also about how we engage with the community, which is something that I think is something that all of us need to consider openly together. Any further questions, Councillor Holmes?
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify. So would you like to see just, when you say the outcomes, are you wanting to see just what people have responded or the actual outcome? Because we haven't got to that stage yet. We're not there yet. Sorry, can I finish? We haven't got there yet in terms of our discussions and our deliberations, and that will then be an outcome, which will then be published and made available. I'm just clarifying what you're asking to see.
Okay, what I would like to see is that we get 5 working days to prepare for a meeting like this. This survey was done a few months back.
Mm-hmm.
I would expect that the council should have made time to work through this and have come back to the community by this time frame. Okay, I feel that it's not been given the respect and the time frame that I would think would be justified.
Any further questions for Kate? Okay, we'll move to our second speaker. Thank you. I do need to just resolve that we extend the public forum because we have gone over 30 minutes at 4:41, which is in a couple of minutes. So I'd like to move that the time period is extended beyond 30 minutes. Councillor Dillon, those in favour?
Aye.
Carried. Okay, fabulous. We have some more time, and I'll move over to Paul.
Firstly, I'd just like to say thank you to Councillor Swales for putting Elaine's questions and answers onto the minutes. That's much appreciated. I feel that Elaine, I feel that Elaine was providing the questions up front so that she could get answers within this forum, so that it could be part of the public YouTube clip, so people could see it. I think
By doing that, you'll probably stunt people actually providing questions before these particular meetings. I'm speaking on item 9 of the annual plan. As you may or may not know, Kate and I attend various meetings in our community. I come here today on behalf of many in the community who we have spoken to, both as part of those meetings and outside those meetings. The majority have concerns and uncertainty around the costs relating to the splitting out of water, Upper Hutt rates, Greater Wellington rates, assistance and the overall impacts to the cost of living. Apples to apples comparisons compared with the services which they received this year to what they will be getting next year. Will Pete stated in the Te Aki Wai Partners Committee meeting on the 13th of March 2026, and I quote, "We've done some customer survey work among the people of Wellington, and we've found out quite a few things. 1 in 6 people know who Te Aki Wai is and what we are going to do. 1 in 6 people also think that the water bill is going to be added to the existing rates bill. This is alarming to us. And with the 1st of July closing in fast, our mayor was present at this meeting, as is the deputy chair of the Partners Committee. We believe this should have set alarm bells for both meeting attendees and within the councils to communicate more with their communities. With such intergenerational change, there should be more information put out to the community at its earliest. We have suggested numerous ideas around using the electronic and non-electronic boards that the council have around the city, but have received no real enthusiasm for the ideas. After we created our calculator in 2024 for the 2024 to 34 LTP, I believe Jeff and his team listened and heard the need. Then followed to create a calculator in 2025. This even linked through to the Greater Wellington Regional Council rates calculator for the people to be able to get a full picture of their rates, both Upper Hutt and Greater Wellington. Once Greater Wellington rating numbers were added into the Upper Hutt City Council calculator, this confirmed the numbers from our calculator that we had provided for the community in 2024 and 2025. With our mayor and Upper Hutt Greater Wellington representative, both on the Partners Committee, there could have been some collaboration between the two reps to enable this to happen for Upper Hutt, as was done in previous years. I believe there could have been. Having heard the need in the community, Kate and I have created our own rates calculator to help estimate the figures as an apples to apples comparison for the community. This has been based on Upper Hutt City Council's annual plan, which has been tabled today, Greater Wellington City Council's rates calculator, and the Te Aki Wai pricing policy. Does it cover all bases? No. But the intention is to help people have a fair idea for the largest base, residential dwellings within the urban areas of the city. We are and have always been open to constructive feedback, as by working together, we can make a stronger community. So my questions are we going to see a rates calculator from our City Council, like as we did in 2025? Will it provide an apples to apples comparison for the services the community have received this year against services next year across all areas? I do note downstairs, while waiting to come up, there is a copy of the water services strategy. There is the Te Aki Wai at a glance, no pricing policy. The only other thing I could find from the council.
That's those two documents. The two others.
I'd just like to thank you all for listening, and I hope that we can work together to make it better for the community as an outcome.
Thank you. Any questions from Paul? That's all.
Sorry, Your Worship, how many users using currently per day your calculator that you have?
Last 24 hours.
Yeah.
In the last 24 hours, 700 people.
Sorry?
700 people in the last 24 hours.
And that's not counting all of the communication back to us for clarification.
just a subsequent, do you have locations of these people, like in your website, particularly where they are using, are they particularly using in? That's right.
I have no idea what the numbers they're putting in.
Mhm.
They are taking their last year's CV, their this year's CV, they get a results. If they choose to, they can print it. If they choose to, they can share it. But we don't see any consent.
A subsequent, your worship, how much did it cost you in, if not, how many hours?
Hours?
Hours of time.
Yeah.
Hours.
Establish.
Hours. I'd say probably in the vicinity, because it's been growing over some time.
Mhm.
You know, the gathering of information is the critical part. As pieces of information have been made available, we've been able to revise if you look at the calculator, it's a version 1.2. We've been able to revise the calculator and add in further. We've taken the numbers that we've got in the examples from the annual plan that's been tabled today, reverse engineered those back to rating factors. We've used the Greater Wellington Regional Council's calculator to get the rating factors from there. Te Aki Wai, same thing, they've got all their pricing in the pricing policy.
Which is
Thank
very,
you.
yeah.
Councillor Ultra, Councillor Welsh, have you got a question as well, Councillor Sparks? Okay, so, 1, 2, 3.
Through Chair, I just wanted to know, so if we approve the annual plan today, then we'll have figures that we need in order to update the rates calculator that we have had in place before, so it will need to be, so it will need to be updated with the new figures, but we have to
Oh, absolutely.
continue, Is that timely enough? Do you think that it needed to be something
I don't
a lot
see
sooner?
I don't see any reason. I mean, the first version of our rates calculator is based on one of the workshops we had recently, which highlighted either a 9.9 or a 12.9. We gave two options on that calculator to say there's two options. If you click on to a 9.9, it'll give you the answers based on the 9.9. Click on the 12.13, it gave you the answers based on 12.13. After seeing this particular annual plan, we were then able to get the values at 9.9. We then included those in there. So I think, to answer your question, I think we could have gone back further and provided some estimates, even at the 13.74 that was touted in year 3. Is the estimated calculator based on what we've been. We are working to finalise this, and we'll have finalised numbers out to you. But at the moment, what you want to be able to do is say, apples for apples, here's what the community is paying now for those services. Here's what you're expecting to pay next year for those. That's all they want. They want the outcome, not we've been in 52 meetings. They don't care.
I'll move to Councillor Welsh. If you're follow-ups or should I move to Councillor Welsh? Councillor Ultra, are you happy with it? Yep, this is Councillor Welsh.
Yep.
Cool, thanks. It kind of comes off Councillor Dillon's question about cost, and it's the reason I ask is because we've had discussions about a calculator, and one of the reasons was projected costs. So when you talked about time to produce it, you went back and said things like, gathering all the information in, but the calculator itself.
The calculator itself.
Is that relatively straightforward?
Yes.
And where our hours come in is that we've got to waft through. We don't get to sit and ask Te Aki Wai or anybody those questions. We have to go through 1,000-page documents on our own.
So from a perspective of if I've got the information, like I would expect the finance team to have our information, I would expect Greater Wellington to be able to provide things.
Yeah, it should be just like that.
Is that your question or do you have more?
No, especially since there's one already.
Yes, no, thank you, that's helpful.
And finally, Councillor Sparks.
Thank you, Your Worship. Thank you both for coming in and posing and speaking to us about projections. And so my question is, you're wondering why we haven't done it because we've done it before, and why the community the 700 people that you've had that have used your
It's just in the
calculator
last 24 hours.
in 24
That's
hours.
just in the last 24 hours. We've had a lot more use it.
Right, so you're here to represent those 700 plus people in the community, asking us, why haven't we done it and will we do it? Is that correct?
Excellent. Thank you so much. Thank you both. I think we've,
Can we table these documents?
yes, if you can bring them up.
Yep.
All right. Thank you, to our committee that presented to us today. We're going to move now to item 7, which is the adoption of the dog registration impound fees for 26. It's on page 30 of the agenda.
Your Worship, so I'm happy to take this read, and Nisha is here to answer any questions councillors might have on the, as the drafter of the report.
Thank you, Group Manager of Operations Tim Huddy. We've got questions, Councillor Wheeler.
2 questions. In the past, council has subsidised dog owners 20%. Is that the case now? Is still the case?
Well, the revenue policy hasn't changed.
So it's still not always, but for the use base are still combined.
So the question, yeah, I had the same question. So if I could sharpen the question a little bit, how much are we gathering back as a percentage of the total cost of that activity from the dog registration costs?
So I'll have to check, but off memory from last year, it was just under 2%. So we're actually collecting 90, between 95 to 95%. Does that make sense?
So 95% has been collected to cover the costs, so almost a complete cost recovery. Excellent. Do you have a follow-up? Yeah.
Just another question as well. So on page 33, you'll see under classified dogs section, $260 to 385. There were 419 last year. Is that a typo? No. Because if you go onto page 84 and the fees and charges, it says something totally different. So if you go on to 84, under dog fees, you'll see 431 and 647. So I'm not sure. I think that's a typo, but
Through
we dropped down.
Yeah, so under legislation, it's 150% for dangerous dogs, and it's so through YouTube we've picked up a discrepancy that we're working on amending with the dangerous dog owners prior to this, because the calculation was done wrong in the prior years. So under legislation we can only collect 150%, whereas the previous one, if you calculated that, that'd be a lot more than 150%. The calculation, does it make sense?
So I think through you, we should have been, we've picked up an error, I recall, and we might have just corrected it in the paper and not the fees and charges. So we'll double check that and make sure they're aligned.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, no, it looks like I recall correcting the error in the paper. We may not have given it through to the team that were doing the fees and charges. So that is a oversight by us as staff, and we'll just fix it.
So what is the new fee?
My recollection, it is the one that is in the paper with that dog registration paper, 260, 385, and that would need to flow over to page 84, classified dogs, dangerous dogs. So, okay, so yeah, so lower.
The page 33 is correct.
That's my recollection, and we'll double check that we made we did pick up an error, made a change in the paper, and I think we didn't flow it through to the, so our fault.
Councillor Wheeler, I'll defer that to Emily in the back to work on while we continue, and then I'll get it clarified before we vote. Is that okay? Okay, fabulous. We have Councillor Swales.
Thank you, Your Worship. My question is, when I look at so the incurred charges that we've got and how we increase them every year. And whilst it appears quite minimal, because I think if I go for the SENs, I think last year it was 101 and now it's 104. But why do we not look at doing what Hutt City Council do, where they have one tag, one registration that follows the life of the particular dog until it sadly passes away? I would have thought that that would have, from a sustainable perspective, would have been a lot more cost effective for us to have one tag, one number for them, rather than what we do every year. We give a new number and a new tag. What is the cost of doing that every year?
When looking through that, there are a few things that have come up. One, there's been a new thing, the one tag. They actually aren't as sustainable as they don't last. There's been a lot of issues with them. So there were a lot of questions around whether they are what they're meant to be. And the other thing is the purpose of having the coloured tags is so that it is quite clear if the dog is registered or not registered. So it's definitely something that we're looking into, but cost effective when we looked into it, it didn't seem to be at the time that we were looking at it, because the tags, so some councils have already had to replace some of those tags because of the metal was, so they had put a number on there, the numbers have come off, or so it depend on the material. So there's a little bit of research to do under it, but when we started to do it, it seemed like it was better to keep looking into it, but getting the feedback from other councils for them and to see whether you get the good product and that is going to do what that purpose is for it.
So I'll take an action to,
Yes,
for that to
please.
come back to us. Is that okay?
Absolutely,
Okay.
thank you. Because I know that there are a number of councils that have done the homework on it, and I just want to make sure that when was the last time that we did this research?
Yeah. We'll come back, yeah. For the, I think I had one over here, didn't I? That's McLeod.
So I've just got a question under the background under 10D. So if you're a responsible dog owner, you can have a reduced fee, registration fee for your dog. Yeah, so but it's per dog, right? Not per owner. So if you're a responsible owner and you've been a responsible owner for 15 years and your dog passes away and you get a new dog, you don't automatically get the responsible dog ownership tag, right?
Yeah. So through you, Chair, if you're a responsible dog owner, any dog you get under that goes under your status.
Oh, does that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Further questions? Councillor Whare?
Just back on the dangerous dog one, right? So if they paid 419 last year, they get a credit this year?
Yes. So through you, Chair, I think we both, you got the point there, is that in prior year, it's been overcharged for the dangerous dog.
Yeah, and that would that be addressed?
Yes.
Definitely. Further questions on the fees? Excellent, thank you so much. We'll move to consider the report. Can I have a mover? Deputy MP White, no seconder. Dylan. So just would anyone like to speak? Okay, I'll move to vote. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
No. Carried. Thank you very much. Moving on to item 8, adoption of the schedule of fees and charges. First, just before we jump into this, we've just had a look in relation to the area that was in this report on page 84 that Councillor Wheeler picked up. We don't necessarily need to change recommendations or not that, because on C, recommendation C, we note the dog registration and town fees at the earlier meeting, which is where it was correct. So that's all now conveniently fine. All right, we're on page, item 8, page 34 of the agenda. I'll hand over to Gunther Wild if Group Manager Engagement Strategy and Planning, if he has any. Please speak to, or we can take it as read, it's up to you.
Through you, Ms. A, happy to take it as read. I mean, just to remind councillors, this is a pretty stock standard thing that we do every year. But I will pass it over to Emily because she has spotted one small correction.
Your Worship, we've spotted a correction needed to number 320 in the schedule, which is one of the health licence fees, which is listed as being $275, and it needs to be 430 taken for that. That's exactly the same as this year's fee. We just put the wrong number onto the schedule. So,
sorry, could you just restate the number so that we were all...
It is fee number 320.
Okay, so this is page 86, 320, and it should be
$430.
430. So that's the application for registration of a business subject to national programming template under food licensing.
It's not changed from this year's fees. We just put it incorrectly into the schedule.
Okay, and do we need to do anything? Okay. Excellent. So we will move to questions. Are there any questions, Councillor Hammond?
Yes. Thank you, Chair. You have under 41 overweight permit fees. That's NZTA. Has there ever been a council issuing an overweight?
So you were I might defer to my colleagues to answer that.
Through you, Worship. So I'll have to double check with the team. Sorry, Councillor, I don't know the answer off the top of my head. I'll ask the team.
Further questions on the fees and charges from Gary?
Yeah, just a bit of clarification, just in light of the revenue report from H2O Extreme. And I guess we've seen like 348k over budget, and we're proposing an increase in some of the fees. Can we get information like, is that sitting, are we tracking to a budget? Are we a cost recovery mechanism? Like, what does this look like? It doesn't look great when I look at the two.
Through your Worship, I think I know the answer to this, but I will, just to make sure it's absolutely accurate, pass to my colleague in the back.
Through you, Your Worship, is financial strategy says cost recovery between 15 to 25%. The figures there, as explained by Sarah, the budgets were done quite some time ago. We were unsure of what they would pay out. So I would suggest that that indication and that financial paper is not in a line with what's going to happen going forward. And there is still a significant amount of money, personnel, electricity, chemicals, etc., which we rely on ratepayers' money to support.
So can I follow up to that? Oh, you're going to follow up?
You can ask it.
Okay. Can you tell us what level of cost recovery are we sitting between that 15 to 25?
Through you, wishing that no, I can't off the top of my head. We've only been opened quite a year again. Previously, if I go back before we closed, the cost recovery was in and around the 15% as opposed to the 25%.
So it would be likely somewhere between 15 and 5.
If I was to hazard a guess, it would probably be around.
It's more of a procedural one. Is this something that we, at the end of the operating year, we know? Are we running a deficit just during on the full budget?
Could you rephrase the question? I'm not quite sure I understand.
I'm terribly ineloquent.
I think
hospital pass
is what you're asking is once the pool has run a full year, if there is better clarity on
what's the delta? Yeah,
is there an opportunity to potentially look at if it was running well, to potentially change this at a later date? Is that what you're, here we go.
Okay, so the question is, yeah, when's the next time we're considering fees and charges?
It'll be, at this time next year. We'd have to have a look at it, but I'm assuming the question is if the recovery came in at 35%, which is over the 15 to 25 that was anticipated, is there an opportunity to revisit the costs? Yes. To bring it back into the recovery band that we had assumed.
Yep.
Yeah, so it certainly can, I don't know the answer off the top of my head, but certainly can take that away unless these guys know the answer, I'll put it in there. And then take it up.
Sorry, Your Worship. Yes, at any time council can alter its fees, just needs to bring a paper and set a resolution to that for any of our fees that we set.
Okay. Your Worship, I can assure that 35% would be absolutely magnificent.
Yeah. Councillor Perry.
No questions.
No, fabulous, Councillor Swales.
So what I'd like to do in following on to that, so when I go, and I know I'm jumping papers, but it's all around the same conversation. We've gone from our financial report to fees and charges. I would like now to jump to financial statement on page 153, which talks about the revenue that is projected for H2O Extreme, and it's got a variation there in brackets of 408. So what are you saying, that this is correct and this is within the tolerance of the percentages that we're looking to collect for the annual year of 26, 27, because we're adopting this as our financial budgets, or is it what was in the financial report in number 5?
I'm not following. So page 185.
Yeah, so when I page 153 and financial statements.
Okay, hold on one second. 153. Yeah.
And I'm looking under funding requirements by activity groups.
Yes.
And I'm looking at H2O Extreme, and it's got year of the LTP year 26, 27, then the annual plan of 26, 27, and they've got a variance there of dropping it down. Is that because they believe that they're going to get the percentage that has been talked about, even though we're at the moment this financial year running ahead? I just want to make sure that the figures in this LTP, annual plan, are correct, because this is what we're approving, right? And I apologise that we're jumping.
No, that's right. I'll just slow it down a little bit for anyone. So as I understand it, we are looking at the financial statements and the annual plan, the projections of what we're going to bring in from the level.
Yeah.
And your question in relation to fees and charges is are we still expecting that given
what's happened in the financial?
Was a question for Kate, who's not here.
Yeah.
So we'll have to take that away. Hopefully it won't materially impact your voting on today. Thank you. But I understand, yeah, I think I've got your question right.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Happy to follow it up with you, Your Worship.
Yes, we can do that. We'll take that out as an action. That's it.
Okay. Thank you.
Excellent. Councillor McCann.
Just as a question, I remember when we first discussed this, I came up, and so it's a question through you, Your Worship. On page 73 of the attachment is around the encroachment, the new charges for encroachment on roads and other council land. Do we have any idea, do we have any understanding of the size of the impact that will have on rural residents? Because a lot of rural properties and have used the road reserve.
So the question is, what's
the size of the impact?
What's the size of the impact on rural properties of the changes in the code? I'm assuming it's a very idea. Is that what the right?
Happy to answer.
Okay.
Worship, I think, and so she's been working on the encroachment policy. So in terms of the encroachment fees and charges, they've been in place for a number of years. As staff, we've developed up a encroachment policy to implement them, and our job at the moment and moving over the next few months is to go out and start to measure up and understand and have conversations with those people that are encroaching and understand that and where we might apply in that basis.
Okay.
Follow up, councillor Khan.
Yes, sure it is. So I'm being asked to approve a new annual fee encroachments on roads without knowing the impact on our rural residents, because you're going to be measuring it in the next few months.
Wait, can you clarify the question in terms of impact? So what is it that you
Well,
would like to?
If you encroach on roads and other council land based on adjoining land value, calculation for roads, other council land, so roads, because that includes road reserve, correct? So we've got an encroachment fee will be 1% of dollar value within a minimum of $200 per year inclusive of GST. So first you have to pay to have an encroachment licence, and that's fine if you're going to put, say, a bus stop or something like that for your children on the road reserve. You have to apply for an encroachment licence to be able to do that. But this is also covering, you pay for that, and then you pay $200 per year to be able to have that bus stop for your children on the road reserve. But also, if you are using that road reserve, as many rural properties along the edge of the road do, for grazing or a walkway, then they will have to pay a minimum of $200 per year, and it's 1% of the dollar value.
So the question is,
what's the impact on rural residents of this new annual fee for those that are using the road reserve?
I'm still not clear on the question. What's the impact? Could you
Yeah.
clarify?
Has there been any work on the impact? Because we're being asked to put in a new annual fee for encroachment on road reserve, essentially.
So you're asking what the size of the revenue is that what?
Yeah, the size of the revenue, but the size of the impact, like how many rural properties is this going to impact and what's the size of it? Because I'm not sure that I want to approve something that's going to have quite a substantial impact on rural residents.
Are you asking on a per property basis or an aggregate basis?
Well, I don't suppose there's any work being done. I've heard that the work hasn't been done yet on per property or aggregate.
Okay, so the question is do we know how much we're going to revenue we're going to give on individual properties and in the aggregate?
Not yet, no.
No. Any further questions? That was not.
So I want to follow up on the conversation that we had at our workshop around parks and reserves with regard to fees for juniors and sporting code. So I want to thank the officers for moving it away, particularly on the cricket, down to something more sustainable. But when I look at under page 76, it's where I'm going to start. And I'm actually going to go to 77, but it's, next door. So when I look at the junior grounds under 16, 25% of the senior fee, which is, does that still cover the cost or of them using under the winter codes for the 482? Is it around that 25% of the seniors? Does that still cover our needs with regard to the maintenance of those fields?
Through you, your worship, it's really difficult to separate them. And certainly that rugby environment, and it was always been just 25% because a field is used potentially for junior and for senior. So to separate them out is quite difficult.
Okay, but then when we go down to the winter codes, sorry, your worship, through you, when we go down to the winter codes and it's the codes casual charge per game, for the under 16s, we've got a charge of $32.75. So is that just per game on there or for the day if they're holding a tournament?
Through you, worship, that's just for one field, one day.
One field for a day. Okay, that I just didn't know. And when I go over to the other page, which is 78, and I'm looking at the junior strips grass under 16, is that I'm really pleased to see that that's been brought down from the 333. So thank you for doing that. When I go to softball, I don't see. Have we applied the 25% for all of the juniors against the senior players? Have we done that? Because that's what I was hoping that we were going to do after the workshop. Apply 25% of whatever the seniors are paying. The juniors would only pay 25%.
Am I putting this to mine?
Answer some of it, I think, is, for example, with cricket, that was through you, which was cost recovery.
Yeah.
And we cost recovered 15 to 25%, for cricket, we dropped it to 15%.
Yeah, because
and I am not sure, and I might see if our open spaces and facilities manager is sure this can answer the question around the softball diamonds.
I'm not sure, just because I wasn't here when those charges were put together. Before I started looking at those figures, it looked to be about 25%, so it looked to be in line.
okay. And the other one, my almost last question.
Almost last time. Famous last words, Councillor Strauss. There's two more. I'll give you two more.
Well, the thing, my concern is that the athletics carrier orientation and the athletics track per season is 3,340, and I'm assuming that that's over a short period of time. But casual use by clubs and schools per day is 0.
What's the question?
Well, why have we got a 0 there? I would have thought that we would have had some price in there for because you know, obviously we're working out and putting some cones up there and doing marking, and yet we pay or ask athletics to pay that 3,340. I'm assuming that's for the whole season, and yet casual users, we're not charging them anything. How did we land there?
Through you wish, that is something that's been inherited. We can go back and have another look at it. The athletics track, we charge athletics for that because it's marked up, and then we allow others to use it as they come. But certainly if the indication is you would like us to charge for school groups and others, and there's just been a school event down there, we can do that, but we are very conscious of trying to maximise usage of our parks, and certainly with the young people.
Okay.
I'll go to Deputy Mayor White.
Through your worship, question. I know there is an athletics day used by schools, and the athletics club come along and support those athletics days for schools. How many days do you know of that would happen during the field?
Through you, which I'm not sure. I can find that certainly find that out. How many schools?
I can't imagine it being many because there's not many schools that simple.
And usually it's the Upper Valley Primary School Association will have a meet, and that's all of the schools in Upper Hartland, potentially some from Upper Valley as well. Yes, sure.
That's honest.
Thank you, Worship, through you. I just was wondering, I just trying to get some clarity around the fees and charges for H2O Extreme. So we're back on page 63. We've got a new category there for the hotspots with the spa, sauna and steam room being charged out separately. So does that mean that the adult single now at 129 is purely swim only?
Do you wish? That's correct.
That's correct. It's just not quite clear. So therefore, if that is then swim only and the hotspots are separate, and then you've got the combo there, the community services and the disability rate, are they for, because it says community service swim adult, is there not a community service option for the hotspots or for the, and what does the disability rate cover? Because often people are using that as a therapeutic means, and while we don't have the hydrotherapy problem, I think it's important that we're clear on what we're actually charging people.
Through you, your worship, they are just for swim, like the disability services are just for swim.
Could we not amend that to also include, like to be or hotspot, or have a different rate that also includes the hotspots? Because I would think that some of that people, especially the disability one, would really benefit from that hotspot. And so, and as would people who are, say, doing the hydro aerobics, presumably there's there's a rate there. If you're doing hydro aerobics, often I know the usage, people would go to and use the spa or the steam room afterwards as part of that. So I wonder if we've gone a bit narrow.
So perhaps we're recommending a additional two charges, so community service swim, adult, and then community service hotspot only and community service combo. Is that what you're?
Yes, to include, so whatever way that, yes.
Okay.
To increase the.
What we'll do is have a think about how we whether we need to make recommendation, recommendation. Yeah. Okay. So we need an amendment. Is that, are you in agreement with that approach? Would need an amendment that we're going to add to additional service.
You wish to find the.
Okay.
Assuming that.
Yeah, can I,
generally, so
can I have a question to that?
Sorry, just so that you'll need to add it as a.
Yeah, it doesn't need to be amended.
Oh, sorry, of course. Yes, sorry. Okay, so what we're proposing potentially is so in this paper we've got recommendations 2A through D, and we're proposing an extra recommendation of two extra charges on page 63. And those two extra charges would be community service hotspots only and community service combo. Is that what your additional recommendation is?
Yes, and for the disability rate to be in itself a combo. I would like to see that as for disability, that is the rate for, because it's not going to be a huge amount of people, but I think that it's.
Yeah. So what I suggest is I'll take further questions, and then in the meantime we can do some drafting, and then we will add an extra recommendation, and then we will vote on that when we come to it. Any further questions? Give us some more time, or we're going to have a little adjournment.
Did you have a? No. Okay.
Oh, convenient, isn't it? When there's no questions, we need them. Okay, we'll have a 5-minute adjournment for this additional recommendation to be put, and then we will vote after that. Is everyone happy with that?
Do we have to stop recording for the adjournment? Or can we just do it?
I'd rather wait because do we have to vote on the amendment on the additional one first? And we can do. I think that makes sense. That's what I was saying. In other places, yes. Okay, so what we'll do is adjourn for 5 minutes. after D, we added youth recommendation. Councillor Holderness has it. Do we have it here as well? Yes. And we'll bring it up on the screen. I recommend that we do that first. Don't really know why, but just because it's in front of us, let's do it. And then we'll move to the other recommendations. We'll do it like it's an amendment, although it's a. No, do you want to read it out? That's on.
Sure, Lisa, I'm just putting it up on the screen. I believe.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So I propose an amendment to fee 133, community services adult, so that it turns it into a community service adult combo single pass, and fee 134 disability rate combo single pass, giving people the ability to both swim and use the hot spots. Can I have a second?
I'll second. Or would you? You did contribute to the writing of it. Oh, yes.
The community services have a combo?
That is.
No, sorry, a trip pass. We're just doing them both the same.
Oh, I
Same
see.
trip pass.
Are we missing the 10 trip pass for the community service? Is that?
First one.
Is that in your recommendation?
No, it's not.
It's not.
So there's no.
Sorry, which page are we on? I've got to go back to it now.
And now we're gonna start again.
Hang on. And 10 trip, was that? Is it only
So
the
we're
10
so
trip?
the suggestion is to add 10 trip pass, $26 to after community service adult single pass, and then add the extra 10 trip.
Oh, I see. It's not
not
currently
there.
here. I will ask the group manager if
You're reading. Happy with this? Okay. Councillor Holderness moves, Councillor Carey, do you want a second?
Sure.
There you go, now, Councillor Carey. We'll go through this one first. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Contrary, carried. Fabulous. Okay, now we're moving on to the original recommendations. I would like to take them separately, if that's okay, just because of otherwise it'll be confusing. So I would like to move option 1B for Akatara Cemetery fees is there on paragraph 118. And confirm the selected option as part of this resolution. So that will mean it will feed through into the fees. And option 1B is a full no charge for all the way up to 8. Councillor Carey second. So we'll now vote. Oh, did you have? Okay. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
The contrary. Voting against.
Sorry, I like the option A.
Option A, okay, so 2 against, they'll record, would you like it, declared? Recorded?
Yes, please.
Yes, so, division has been requested for Councillor Welsh and Councillor Wheeler to, request option, or to decline the, motion. Here we are. So now we're on to, I'll take 2, B, C, D.
Separate.
Oh, you want them separate?
Yep, please.
Okay, we'll move to B, adopts the schedules and schedule of fees and charges 26, 27 as a video attachment 1 to this report. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
To the contrary,
No.
Councillor McLeod, and would you like that recorded?
Please.
Yeah, division call forward.
Can we just slow down?
Yes.
Get moving so I can go to bed.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I didn't.
I'll second.
So move a seconder. Thank you. I was going too fast. So now we move to C, dog, notes the dog registration mover. Councillor Holden, seconder. Councillor Swales. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
To the contrary, no. That carried. D, I should have taken C and D together. Can I have a mover for authorising any editorial, councillor Swales, councillor Ultra, all those in favour say aye.
Aye.
So that carried. All right. That was slightly more complicated than I was anticipating. Thank you for your patience. Moving on to item 9, adoption of the proposed annual plan 26-27 and information document. This is on page 98 of the agenda. We still have with us Group Manager and Graduate Strategy and Planning Services of the World and Emma Thompson. Would you like to introduce the item?
Thank you. Through you, Ms. Following on from several workshops with elected members on this matter, this report seeks council's adoption of the proposed annual plan 2026-2027 and the associated information document. The proposed annual plan does not contain any significant or material changes from the long-term plan 2024 to 2034. So formal consultation is not required in this matter. The plan sets out the activities, services and projects council intends to deliver from 1 July 2026, and the information document is intended to clearly communicate that to the community. Just in addition to the information document, we're intending to put out a media release on this matter, social media posts, update our website, and this will include a council rates calculator. So that's all I'd like to say in intro.
Fabulous questions.
I'd like to ask a question on page 113, and it's under the transition of water services to TFP1. What concerns me is, or what I'd like an explanation on, is wastewater and piped stormwater services to people in the metropolitan Wellington area. What does that cover? Because there was some, I haven't actually had a definitive answer of what stormwater is and what gets transferred over, knowing that some of them on the road stays with us, some doesn't. So could I have a bit of clarity around what piped stormwater services, please?
Through you, Your Worship. So currently there's a stormwater task force that's working under the transition process. That's generally the answer to that question. So we don't have a definitive answer either as of yet about what is going to be transferred, what is a stormwater asset that will go to Te Aki Wai and what will be council.
I have a couple of subsequent questions on that, if that's all right, Your Worship. So with that being in tow, and when I look at the assets that we're moving over, aren't the stormwater part of those assets that have been calculated? And then when I go and have a look at the financial breakdown around water, there's nothing there. So this is still in a work in progress, is that what I'm hearing?
It is still a work in progress, and we're posing this exact same questions, if I understand the question right, that if we've got some assets left, how will we fund the maintenance of those assets?
Absolutely.
The questions that we are posing through the Stormwater Task Force as we speak. Do we think that it's late? We absolutely think that it's late as well as staff, so we're working fairly hard to get answers. And Liesl will be much more connected to where that process is overall, but I certainly know my team's in there supporting that conversation.
So we've been asked to take an awful lot on good faith and make decisions that we don't have a lot of answers to. And it certainly makes me nervous. And I've been, well, the question is, when will we get these things? And obviously we're not going to have any power to challenge them because the time won't be there. Is that correct?
Through Your Worship. So look, I would have to defer that and go and have a chat with Kate and Liesl, who are much better connected to how the financial.
So where are they?
So Councillor, so if I understand your question is when we're going to find that out, and we'll come back to you. So this at the moment is our best, the information that we have at present, the best information we have at present, and there are still some outstanding items, as there always is naturally when you're in a transition process. Councillor Ultra.
Thank you. Through you, Chair. For Group Manager, I just wanted to ask also about the piped stormwater. how do you separate where it's a pipe stormwater versus whether it's part of the roading infrastructure? So if it's like a road culvert, is that counted as piped stormwater, or is it part of the roading infrastructure?
Through your worship, so the stormwater assets associated with the roading network are really clearly defined through NZTA funding processes. So that's not the debate. So we know what the catch pit and the catchment lead, for example, associated with road drainage is a roading asset because we get subsidy of that. So that's really clearly defined. That's what happens after that, or the swale drain, an open stream, all those other things that are much more grey and blurry around the definitions that have been.
Further questions?
So, when I look at that, I'm sorry, I'm on page 119, and what I'm looking at is the debt level. And, it talks about, obviously, you know, our debt level with LGFA is 280, and the internal debt level in this case, I'm referring to the graph that's here. So when Te Ake Wai takes over our assets as of the 1st of July and takes over the responsibility, they're going to climb that debt level that we're sitting at, which is around 240, I believe we've been told, that they're going to then take it up to 260, which is our 500 debt level, in my understanding, and this is where I'd like to be corrected. If that's the case, and we're guaranteeing that amount of money, and then we go, and if they go past that and they incur the other difference between the other councils that take them up, is that double dipping in my question? So Wellington might have a different caveat of debt that they've got to take them to their 500. So we've got 260 if it's 240. Porirua might have a different thing that takes them up to their 500, right? Their debt level, because we're all at 280. So their debt level might be a little bit more. So do we then have to be responsible not only for our extension to the 500 that Te Ake Wai are allowed to, but also the exposure of the other totals of the other four partners in the agreement?
This is probably a question not on this paper, I don't think, because this.
Well, it's to do with our debt level. So our debt level at the moment is 240, and we can go up to 280, right? But then if you put in the other exposure, and what I'm looking at is the risk.
When you say exposure, what do you
mean? When Te Ake Wai take us up to 500, then we're going to have to guarantee that, right?
So that would have been a question on the guarantee paper rather than in this paper, as far as I'm.
Okay, well then I'll put it back to that then. Am I going to get an answer? No, because it's not in this paper.
I'm not sure I understand the question, but we can take it out because Kate's not here to answer anyway.
Okay.
But I also don't think it's on this paper, but if you send it in an email, that might.
I will.
Cool. Any other questions?
Economic development for me, if no one else has got any.
No, last question.
So we've got rates for emissions and that are outstanding by Lane Street, other entities, NZCIS and the Blue Mountains campus. I couldn't see where they were in this paper anywhere in our finances of what amount it is in the 26-27 year, and when do these terminate?
Okay, is that?
Take it away.
Okay, because I would like to know, because we've got to make that up by rates on the general public, whatever that amount is.
Yeah, no, I'd have to take that away from the councillor.
Okay, and the other thing that I couldn't find under the finances is we had an economic stimulus package where we were debt funding it. Have all of those economic applications been signed off, and can we close the book on those funding that we had, those projects, those businesses that had applied?
We lost Mike. Okay.
Whare is still here.
Yes, well, if he comes back in time, we can put that back on. Any other questions?
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah,
Okay.
one more.
So when I go to, well, I'm looking at depreciation.
Yeah.
And I'm also looking at our balanced budget. So when all of our assets get moved away and the depreciation is on page 177, we've got water zero, waste storm zero. Does that mean that we will, over the 10 years we've had land, we're going to be our depreciation, our balanced budget? Has that changed anywhere? Because I couldn't see it in these papers, in the financial papers.
I have to again take that away. Apologies, councillor, that I don't have the finance team here to answer those questions, but we can certainly take them away.
Councillor Swales, I'll come back to Mike on your previous question. So it was about economic development. There was two. One was about
What is the where are we sitting with the rates for emission? And the Blue Mountains campus.
And when you say where we're sitting,
yeah,
it is in what year on the agreement?
Yeah, a year on the agreement and the amount.
It's like, through you, I might check on that and I can find what I had a chat with the studio there and I'll put where those, all three of us.
And my other question on that is that with regard to the economic stimulus project that we had, have we closed out all of the projects? Have they been ticked off? And or are there any still open?
Which ones can I look like a child?
Because I didn't see, where that was.
Okay.
But it should be in here. Those are mine. Yeah.
No, okay. Is everyone happy if we take these recommendations? So their recommendations for receiving the report, adopt the annual plan, adopt the information document, and then consequential amendments taken together. Cool. I will move recommendations A through D. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Holderness. All those in favour say aye. Aye. To the contrary?
No, me. I'd like it recorded.
Division recorded, Councillor Swales and oh, we didn't speak to the motion. Do we want to do that? We can go back if you want.
But sitting here, why is Angela not wanting to support it?
Oh, sorry, I will retract the entire vote. Here on the it's getting late, team. Councillor McLeod, would you like to speak to the motion?
Yeah, so it's the same with the fees and charges discussion that we had. The reason that I'm not voting, it's not that I don't like what's in it, it's just that I did say at the time when we first started looking at the annual plan that I wanted, and it feels really strange not to stand to speak, mind you, is that I wanted the community involvement in it, and because there are some, I think there's some quite significant impacts, and it's a weird year because we are taking the water out and we're changing, and there's a whole lot of things changing, and so that's why I'm voting against it, because there's some changes in here which I think are going to adversely impact our community, and they've not had a chance to say.
Would anyone else like to speak to them?
The reason why I'm not voting for it is that for me, there are too many questions that I've posed that I don't have answers for, and people are going to come back. It will, depending on what they are, will certainly have an influence on how I vote. So I can't vote for something that I haven't got all the information that I've asked the questions for. So my vote is no. Thank you, Your Worship.
Any further statements? Would anyone like me to redo the vote? Like, is that you're all happy? No one's changed their mind? No. Okay. Fabulous. We'll continue on that for the vote. Thank you very much. Governor Emily. Okay. Oh, we've got Liesl online. Good, Liesl. He's joining us online. Hello. We're moving to item 10, mandate for strategic engagement to progress Mana Whenua and Māori partnerships. This is on page 203 of the agenda. The report is from the Chief Advisor, and I will hand over to Liesl if you would like to add anything, or would you like to take it?
Thank you, Mayor Perry. Through you, I'll just introduce the report as per the executive summary. I hope you can hear me okay.
Yes, yes.
Great, thank you. Council has set a strategic direction to continue to strengthen partnerships and participation and protection of Māori contributions to decision making, including by way of some new strategic partnerships, such as through memoranda of partnership or other agreements. This report is seeking a mandate for the Mayor or Deputy Mayor as an alternate to progress development of such new agreements in the coming months. And these would be working with Mana Whenua entities across the region who have interests in Upper Hutt, as well as with Orongamai Marae. The purpose is to work through these agreement developments in an efficient and practicable way, noting that any finalising or executing of such new agreements would be brought back to all of Council for further consideration and decision making. That essentially sets the scene for what this paper is seeking. I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you. We also have Tutoko Aratu joining us. Kia ora. Any questions? Councillor McCarthy.
I've just got a process question in that the terms of reference for the Community and Economy Committee has this as the first term of reference. So I'm just wondering why it's come through Council and not through that committee.
Liesl, did you hear that question from Councillor McCarthy?
Yes, I did. Through you, Your Worship. Councillor McLeod, the consideration was that at a strategic level, it's the scope of Council's terms of reference also covers strategic partnerships and direction setting, and as such, it was considered because we were seeking a full mandate, or I guess delegation of sorts, from Council to the Mayor for this process. It was considered that bringing it to full Council was appropriate.
Follow up, or you? Do you have a follow-up?
Yeah, just a follow-up comment. So therefore,
is it a question?
Okay, yeah, sure. I'll make it a question.
Good.
Could there also be the chair of that committee as part of the delegation?
Oh, sorry. What was the question? I missed it because I was reading this.
The purpose is to seek a delegation from Council for Mayor and Deputy Mayor as alternate. Could the chair of the Community and Economy Committee also be considered a delegate or an alternate?
Yeah, so this is a recommendation. We can add that to the as an amendment, if that's what you'd like, Councillor. Okay. So we will when we get to it, we'll vote on that amendment first, and then vote on this one. Any further questions, Councillor?
Through you, yeah. What are we lacking in the current arrangement that seeks to alter or change?
Liesl, were you able to hear that question?
You, Liesl.
He's on mute, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Hold on, Liesl, you're on mute. We'll just unmute you. Ask to unmute me. Are you muted on your end, Liesl, or is it our end? It says that it's.
Sorry, apologies, I just lost my screen. Through you, Your Worship. I guess in terms of what you're asking, what we're lacking, at present we only Council has one memoranda of partnership with the 10th Trust. There are a number of other Mana Whenua entities across the region who have interests. The report specifically notes Ngāti Toa and Te Atiawa, and they would be key ones that we would be looking to agree to progress new agreements with. So I guess our current arrangement is only with one entity, and there are others who we don't have any formal agreements with. So I guess it is seeking to have more of a comprehensive approach and have partnerships with all of our Mana Whenua partners, and also Orongamai Marae as alongside that, if that helps answer the question, if I understood it correctly.
Yeah, kind of. Can I
follow up?
Yeah.
Yep. Follow up question from Councillor Love. If you just speak a little bit louder.
Sorry. So I guess, so are we just asking, so obviously we already have relationships with those individuals and partners. We obviously don't exclude them, we bring them into the fold in our decision making, we ask them for their perspectives on relevant decisions. So are we just being asked to formalise that through these negotiations? Is that what we're being asked here?
Through you, Your Worship. There are existing relationships, both, I guess, at the governance level and more operationally across council, with various touch points and activities where we work together and seek input, but it is at a relatively ad hoc and somewhat informal basis, you could say. So these agreements would set far more formalised partnership arrangements at the governance level to start with, directly between council as elected members on behalf of the community and the respective entities. And then that would then continue to inform, I guess, at a more operational level, how we work together practically on an ongoing basis. But it is quite, I guess, a change from current arrangements that are more ad hoc and informal to formalising it, yes. I know Taonga's in the room as well. I don't know if he's got anything to add, perhaps, if that helps. Not to put him on the spot.
No, just to add to you, just to add to what Lisa's mentioned, we don't have formal arrangements with our other partners, and what is of concern is our post-settlement entity trust, Auckland Block Settlement Trust, is the legislated Mana Whenua entity, and we don't have that formal relationship with them right now. So the importance of this document is to ensure that they're formalised with the formalities between our relationship between our council and our post-settlement entities are formalised and prioritised.
That's as well.
So going to C, where we're looking at all the entities that are named, including Taonga Mai Marae, are all of them going to be, because taking on what you said about post-treaty settlement, right, is there going to be a hierarchy in any negotiations with partnership with iwi that would make them different or all the same? Because you've just kind of put a hierarchy there that is not in this paper.
Is that for?
Oh, it's up to you. Lisa, would you like to take that, or
I'm happy. Taonga is probably better placed than myself to comment on the entities from a, I guess, hierarchical perspective.
Your worship, our mandated entities are the hierarchy, and I have placed it there. What we also navigate here across our landscape with respect to our to the different hapu and the different entities, is understanding who the relationships are. And so for the first point is prioritising the post-settlement entity trust. Below that layer, there are complex layers that we get to workshop with the council and grow that understanding as to why these other entities are being brought in to the memorandum of partnership. And of note, the one is Oromo Mai Marae, as we mentioned, hierarchy, Mana Whenua, and they are, and it's written in the document, they are Mātāwaka. So pan-tribal don't have, and it's not that people don't have mana, but as an entity, they're not seen as Mana Whenua. However, they are great contributors and have long been contributors to our community of Upper Hutt. They are the face of our Māori people in Upper Hutt. However, they are not the face of our tribal authority in Upper Hutt. So in line with being consistent in our engagement across our entities and across our territory, not just the Upper Hutt territory, but our iwi territories, what we're wanting to progress is consistency of engagement, and it's something that has already been established with other councils that exist today.
I'm sorry, that doesn't answer my question, Your Worship, because when we talk about the post-treaty settlement, okay, and then we talk about Orongomai Marae, we know that Orongomai Marae would always step back and make sure that Mana Whenua, right, had a clearer voice. So my question is, are they all on equal understanding? Are each of the partnership agreements, is it a collective agreement for everybody, or are there separate agreements for each of the iwi that we have named in C?
Kia ora, Your Worship. Kia ora, I can answer that. That is what we're heading for. We have, I have had indications that the agreements will not be grouped as lump sum. There is hierarchy, and that's what you're asking. And yes, Taranaki, Port Nicholson Block Settlement Trust do seek to have their own memorandum of partnership, as do Ngāti Toa. However, with Ngāti Toa, they have a close working relationship with Te Atiawa, and what we intend in the engagement, the intent of the engagement is to have our Mana Whenua groupings direct or guide us and advise us of how best to shape these memorandum of partnerships. And the reason why, what they do have in guess a work in progress within across all Mana Whenua groups is the hierarchy system, but also the delegated authority of who progresses which pieces of work. And that's really through engagement we'll get a clearer understanding of how to best shape our agreements to ensure that we are not cross-pollinating anything and that we are engaging with the right group for the right purpose of money.
Just one other question, if that's all right, Your Worship. So with all of the iwi that you have named in here, all of them have interests in the boundaries of Apaha City Council as a TA?
Yes.
All of them?
Yes.
Including Orongomai?
Yes, Orongomai.
But they're not land interests, they're just
No.
interests as culturally for the people?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep. Do we have for the?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Can you assure me that Orongomai is not a token for this?
To Your Worship, I can assure you, and that is something we have highlighted and spoken, not at length, but have spoken about. I don't want to reference what past business has been like here in this organisation, but through communication with the chair at Orongomai and the manager and the whānau, they value the relationship they have with the council. They seek to continue to maintain and strengthen the relationship. However, they recognise the support that they receive from our Mana Whenua groups and how to navigate the business when it's them at the front or when they need to step back and allow Mana Whenua groups to come forth and they do. So they're not just token, it's a full recognition of what they do here and what they contribute within our community. Sure, we continue to work alongside them.
And I'll Tutupu's comment and assure you that, and from our side too, that is something that we've given to Orongomai, the partnership is really meaningful to council. We intend to continue that. Further questions? No. Okay. I will move. Oh no, we are first doing an amendment, sorry. So we are going to first vote on amendment. You are moving the amendment?
Yep.
The amendment is going to come up on the screen. Do we have a seconder for Councillor Dillon?
The amendment is first.
So we'll vote the amendment first and then we can vote on the everything. Is that okay?
Yeah, but what's the amendment?
So can I?
So it's for, so the amendment is on B. We'll vote on B amendment first and then we'll vote on it all together. And
Can
it
we
is
talk to that before we vote, please?
Yep. So the amendment is for B, delegates the mayor and the deputy mayor and the chair of the
Community
Economy Committee as alternates. And that is by Councillor McLeod and Councillor Dillon has seconded that amendment, and we will speak to that amendment. Like to
I would.
Councillor Swales.
I actually don't agree with the recommendation that's put on there. And if I'm looking at all of the options of option 1 and option 2, and what we're doing is adding to option 1, I would prefer to go with option 2 because I think the complexity of the negotiations that are going to happen with Mana Whenua and Māori need to be made in addition and with all of the elected people around this table. And particularly, I don't see that having a representative with 2 alternates is actually a good way to include a partnership arrangement that all of us should be part of. So I disagree and will not be voting for the amendment that is just for the recommendation that is up on the table.
Just to check, will you be proposing another amendment? Because we could vote this amendment, and if you would like, we can propose another amendment.
I'm quite happy with option 2 in the paper, which is that we do not recommend delegation to the mayor and deputy mayor as an alternative, and instead have all council participate to develop a new strategic partnership, including by way of memorandum or partnership or similar agreement. It's the one that I would support.
Okay, so so that is to so
option
just
2.
Yeah, so just give me a second. So so putting aside, we'll vote on this amendment first.
Yeah.
And then putting that aside, we could then go to we need to add another. So this is a subsequent amendment, I think. You have to have another crack at an amendment. Is that
no,
it's not an amendment. If it's lost, then you can
then
you can go for a
So you
so you can vote on.
We'll vote on the amendment,
yes.
And then
you
if it's
can vote-
lost, we'll consider your amendment, yes.
No,
with a flop.
What I was saying was
If
that you
lost,
can,
then
Oh, then you're happy with the recommendations as they are. Oh, I see.
and
Okay.
then if that's lost,
But I thought
then
you
you go with
understanding
option 2.
that you weren't happy with the recommendation B. Delegates to the mayor, a deputy mayor as an alternate, a
Yes,
mandate to progress.
that's right.
You're not happy with it?
I'm going to ask that they get taken individually, the recommendations.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And
So-
would you like it, would you like to propose a further amendment of B?
Yes, when
Okay,
this one's
well,
lost,
so-
hopefully. No pressure.
Frank, okay, so, I just want to check, I just want to check everyone understands me, so, I understand we are voting on Angela's amendment first, and then we are going to do a subsequent amendment from councillor Swales, and then if that is lost, we'll go back to the original recommendations. Is everybody clear what we're doing?
No.
No, okay,
I don't think, because I think that Helen's not supporting the
No, I'm not.
the proposed amendment, but is.
and option 1.
But is, and option 1.
option
Because
one,
she-
just to be clear, option 1 isn't in the recommendations, so we would have
Putting a
to.
recommendation in.
Sorry, option 2 isn't in the recommendations, so we would have to change recommendations. So I believe that's a separate amendment,
Right,
which
okay,
would have to be after your vote.
okay,
Does
okay.
everyone agree with that?
Yes.
Still blank? No?
No, I was just wondering, it's a process thing, it doesn't matter.
Oh, no, it
I
does.
wouldn't-
Please. I want to get it right.
Yeah.
My thought, it achieves the same thing, but my thought was that you would then vote them separately, so you vote
And
on
that's what I
A,
said.
then you vote on B, and if that is lost,
Yes.
Yeah.
then you add the amendment, which is
No.
option 2.
No, because then if it gets through, I don't get the option to make an.
I'm
Sorry,
I'm happy for her to have an amendment, and then we'll vote on that. So as it stands, we're going to vote on Councillor McLeod's amendment. We're going to vote on Councillor Swales' amendment. We might need a minute to ensure we have the amendment correct, which is, can you do some?
Absolutely. It's
We
written
can-
hard, absolutely.
Yeah,
I'm
okay.
sorry, I'm confused. Can I just clear up? No, sorry.
It's easy to
No,
have
that's
it,
confusing.
it's easy
So
to have it on
sure.
screen.
So,
Yeah.
She will talk to her amendment when we get there. Is that what you're confused about?
no, I was
Oh.
going to ask about option 2, where does that fit? Because
That will be me putting it on the table.
we'll be putting option 2 on the
If
table.
Angela's gets defeated.
Okay, what I'm happy to do is to take,
Thanks for that.
you're welcome. I'm happy to, would anyone else like to speak to Angela's, would you like to speak to your amendment?
Yeah.
You've spoken about your amendment and your question, but you haven't spoken to your amendment, so you're welcome, your democratic right to speak for amendments.
And I probably wouldn't have made the deputy mayor and the chair alternates. I would have had a 3-person
Of the whole council.
delegation of the whole council and bring it back to council. I think possibly is not the Te way of doing it. It's possibly the Te way is probably more inclusive and have we all involved, but I just think that there's
You're allowed to withdraw.
Initial conversations. My thoughts were that the 3 of us, but hey.
Okay,
So
I will speak to.
it's been written as alternates and that's fine.
I'll speak to the amendment of councillor Gunn. So my understanding, and I have to caveat with it's not full, and I have to caveat it with my lack of experience in this area of these types of negotiations. However, my understanding of the conversations that I have had is that that rangatira kind of negotiation is important in a at the point at which of negotiating exactly what those terms are for those and those intent is for the memorandum of partnerships. However, I am absolutely welcoming of all councillors to be involved in relationships and cultivating what we want to bring to those memorandum of partnerships as our intent, and I would welcome help and support in those broader conversations. So as I understand it, the negotiations of the partnerships are a slightly different thing from the broader relationship building that we need to do at all levels. So that was my 2 cents. Anyone else would like to speak to Angela McLeod's, to Councillor McLeod's? Okay, so we'll vote on the amendment from Councillor McLeod to B, which is going to come up on the screen. Thanks for your patience over there. This happened last time, didn't it?
Yeah.
Every time, maybe? Okay, so the amendment is delegate to the mayor and the deputy mayor and the chair of the Community and Economy Committee, as I'm pronounced. So we have a mover and a seconder. All those in favour say aye. To the contrary, no.
No.
Okay, and so do we want a division or are you happy just to see it lost? Okay, so that's been lost. We now have a second amendment. The second amendment, and it will be
Option 2.
You're happy with?
Yes, option 2.
Option 2.
Which
So do
is.
you want to work through them all separately, or do you want to continue to?
So we'll move.
Can I ask that
we'll
we
just
take
do the amendment
recommendations separately, and when we get to B and vote on it, that's when I'll put my recommendation.
Yes, sure. We can. Okay, let's do A.
Yeah.
Receives the report. That's okay. Receives the report.
I'll move.
Moves. Councillor Swales. Councillor Dillon. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
The contrary, no. Carried. Okay. So now we will have the amendment on B. Councillor Swales will, or anyone can speak to it.
Yeah. So I would like to, instead of us agreeing to B, which is delegate the mayor and deputy mayor as alternates, a mandate to progress development of new strategic partnerships, including by way of memorandum or partnership or similar agreements. I would like to propose in our papers on 205, option 2, where we do not make the recommendation delegations to the mayor and deputy mayor as alternate. Instead, have all council participate to develop a new strategic partnership including by way of memorandum or partnership or similar agreement. I so move.
Okay.
Instead of B.
All right. Would anyone else like to speak to that?
Shall I second it?
Yes, please.
I'll second it first for you, and then we can all talk about it.
So we've got a mover, a seconder. Deputy Mayor White would like to speak to it.
I'm going to vote for that. The reason being, I think if all of council take part, it would take us all on a journey. And I think that's really important. It's shared understanding, especially what the vote is lying ahead of us. I've taken the staff through this journey as well. And there was lots of people for and against in that. And in the end, we all came out in unity and we were conversing and a part of that discussion the whole way through. So yes, I agree. Rangatira is important, but at the same time, I think as the head of the council here, we are representatives of our community. We put a stick in the sand and we say this is where we're going, and we do it together.
Thank you, Councillor Swales, for bringing them in. And I second to Councillor White when he said that. So thank you. Kia ora.
Thank you.
Can I ask to talk, sorry, suspending standing orders for a second. How would this be received by our partners, Mana Whenua and otherwise?
I safely presume that you would all be welcomed with open arms. And for them to receive the whole of council, I feel it'll be a privilege on our people.
Wow, that is a good starting point. Everyone happy to now move to the vote on that amendment? Okay, all those in favour say aye. Aye. To the contrary, no. Carried, unanimous, thank you.
Councillor Swales.
It's time, I usually eat at 5 o'clock, guys.
Yes, two more.
I know, yes, I'm sorry. I was just excited. It was a nice moment, guys. It was a lovely moment. Okay, we're moving to C and D. Is everybody happy to take those together? So that's note the development. Agreements finalised and execute new agreements. Or no one would like to speak? No, I would move. I can have a seconder. I've done that out of order. Sorry? C and D.
C and D together.
So I've moved, councillor Holders has seconded, no one would like to speak, all those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Contrary no, so that carried.
Thank you.
Thanks for call, thanks Liesl.
Thank you.
Thank you, General. We're moving now to item 11, which is the appointment of the District Licensing Committee Commissioner and approved. On page 208 of the agenda, the report is from the Chief Executive, but I will hand over to the Acting Chief Executive, Tamari, if there's anything you'd like to add, otherwise we can take this read.
Nothing like to add. Anisha's here in this area, sits in the portfolio she looks after, and this is just a process that we need to go through to set up the DLC and get it moving forward. Happy to answer any questions that councillors may have.
Okay, questions? That's all.
Thank you, and through you, Your Worship, just a question, just clarification. So the Commissioner is also the Chair, am I correct?
That's correct. Yes.
Thank you.
Why do we have two commissioners? What's the?
We have one.
Yeah, we just have a commissioner, which is more like the community chair. And then there's an option also to add a list member in the community list member to the district committee.
There may be conflicts of interest that would need to be declared, and then we might need to use other
other people
to preside over a individual.
Just on that, I mean, council declared, I think you're still the commissioner.
Yes.
You still expect so.
No, I'm not a commissioner. Can I just clarify that? So sorry about that. I still am a qualified or certified RMA decision maker. I have done the training for the DLC and have been involved in the fact I have a previous working relationship with the candidate because we did some work with putting together the training for DLC members, but there is no certification, so I don't have a certification as such because there isn't any. But I have which is why I'm a member, I suspect, of the DLC. If that helps to answer your question.
So, yeah, further questions? Further questions from anyone else?
Just a question. So, in previous times when, some matters have come to that particular committee, previously, the chair has sometimes been the only person that is given an outcome on it. Is that how we anticipate moving forward now that we've got a commissioner as the chair?
Through your worship, the DRC that we're setting up currently will have someone who the chair or the commissioner tends to lead the process to ensure that the right decisions are made and involve the quasi or 3 people to make a decision if there's objections or opposition from the public or the other agencies, sorry. So this is setting it up so that it is ensuring that it's all the processes are followed.
Thank you. So am I then under the understanding that the chair, the deputy chair and one other will always be residing over any queries that come by taking what you've said?
So the commissioner will lead those conversations and who takes part of those quasi decisions. But part of this would have a proper training and discussion with the person who's elected as the commissioner to sort of set up how that's structured.
Now that still doesn't answer my question. So you're saying through you, Chair, that the chairperson of this committee has total control over the people that we had voted on in our triennium as to who was going to be part of that committee and who was going to be the deputy chair of that committee, no longer have a say because it's going to be as per what the commissioner or the chair says, and will dictate that. I mean, like Councillor McLeod, I've done all the training on that, and I believe that's why I was appointed as the deputy chair. But now you're telling me that I may not be part of that conversation, and if that's the case, I'm not quite sure why we have a deputy chair.
So is the question, does the commissioner have the sole decision making on who presides over those quasi judicial?
No, through you, your worship, no. So we would just.
I'm holding you at no.
No, then
that's all you had to say.
So there's an opportunity for the deputy chair to be involved. There's an opportunity for the deputy chair to be involved.
That's what I'm saying is that what we would envision is that you would all participate as a group and work out how you would like that to work with the new commissioner in the room as well. So whatever you decide how that works. So you're the deputy.
Yes.
So I suspect that it's part of those discussions. But obviously there's going to be things like conflict of interest. So every application, there'll be a process that needs to go through that the commissioner will lead and then decide who are the best people to represent for those decisions, which mainly would be ensuring that you don't have a conflict of interest.
So what I'm going to suggest is that, because this is a process question, not necessarily on the recommendation, so let's take it out. No, you're fine. I put it to you, so it's my right. Let's take this out of the room and have another conversation around it. Yeah.
Agreed.
It's I think we can still vote on these. Are you happy with that, Councillor Smith?
Yes, I am.
Any further questions on the recommendations? Cool. Can I have, oh, sorry, that's somewhere.
Why do we have 2 people on there? Why do we have I understand the commissioner, why do we have another external? Because we've never done that in the past. Because if it's about the quorum of the actual committee, you just put another one from out. Is there a reason?
So it's good practice, I hear from the governance.
It's legislated.
Yeah. Legislated, there you go.
Free.
Have an external.
No.
No.
So
Okay, hold on, well, I'll put this to,
so through the worship, so that DLCs are set up in a particular way, have particular membership and allow for this particular role to be part of the DLC. What we're trying to do is just set up that structure. As Anisha's alluded to, that the commissioner / chair will draw the committee together, DLC together, and have a conversation about how that might run. There's a set of rules. I don't obey on those rules, but it is about participation. As a list member, is someone to call on with extensive knowledge of the community to help the DLC to make decisions. Was that what that member's there for and allowed for in the legislation?
So it's new.
It's new for us. Yeah. It's not new for, and I think that's one of the things to be really clear about, and the really good thing about the commissioner that we're appointing, who Councillor McLeod knows. Will bring a bit of a step change for us and how we manage that, which is just a positive. We're just growing and learning.
Similar to the previous,
So just a question, if that's all right to follow on, but given the response that our group manager has just given, and talking about conflicts of interest, don't you think that that might raise more conflict of interest with the extra person that you're appointing because of their standing in the community? I'm not quite sure whether I don't have an issue having another independent person on there. My issue is that surely you would want someone that may not have a standing in the community, that might have more conflicts than a normal person from the industry, is my point. Which I think is what my councillor is.
Let me take the question carefully first, and then
I think I can answer it because I've given this some thought.
I'll take the question and then if you have a follow-up question, I'll let you. So to take that question carefully, is there a concern that the member proposed in B is which is former Mayor Wayne Guppy has a level of conflict of interest more so than other members of the community? That's have we thought about that? Is that the question? Yeah. Have I done that carefully?
You have.
Okay.
Through your worship, so certainly thought about that and are confident that the commissioner will manage the conflict of interest in accordance with best practice.
For you, your worship, that person's currently acting as the DLC chair.
Yeah, we didn't know
Until
that.
that 13th of April, that was passed through council.
He is.
Yes. When you were appointed a DLC chair, it's a 5-year thing.
It's not fun. So that is
it's not 5 years though.
No, so it's 6 months after the end of the triennium,
exactly.
and which is why we're bringing this paper now to sort this through. But
so he is
but you don't have to extend it, like you don't have to.
We're not. Yeah, no, we're not. Sorry, through your worship, we're not extending. That's why we've got the paper here, so that it's give or take 6 months after the end of the triennium. The term for the current DLC chair, which is Wayne Guppy, is coming to an end, and we need a new DLC chair. We've gone through the process.
I'm happy to take each recommendation separately, if that helps.
Yes.
Does it help? Okay, Councillor McLeod.
So when the DLC chair is appointed, they're appointed for 5 years.
Question.
According to the legislation. So if the current chair is the current chair, he's that because he was appointed at the last triennium, which is 3 years. So theoretically, until there's a new chair appointed, he is currently, he is current, no, it's got nothing to do with his term.
For you, your worship, I think there's a difference when it's been the mayor that's been acting as the DLC chair.
Okay.
Then that turns into 6 months after the.
Okay, just to clarify, yeah.
That makes sense.
And I can assure you, just from the working relationship that I've had with the candidate, that it will be right. It will be done right. Because he helped put the program together.
The candidate is
well experienced.
The commissioner, so
the commissioner is well experienced.
Murray, clear on
sorry.
that. We don't have an issue. As well experienced. Councillor Karen.
Well, are we in standing orders or just?
We are in standing orders. I will.
Apologise.
Yes, I will ensure.
Sorry.
So we are going to now, if there's no further questions, we're going to move each recommendation separately.
Yes, please.
So I would first like to move recommendation A. Do I have a second? Oh, Councillor McLeod, would you like to move recommendation A?
Absolutely.
Okay. And do I have a seconder?
Happy to second.
Councillor Swales, all those in favour say aye.
Aye.
So we will move to B. Do I have a mover? Councillor Carey, do I have a seconder? Councillor Wheeler. Would anyone like to speak?
Can I just say that reading this here, it says added to the list of approved members does not necessarily mean that he will, but that Mr. Guppy will be appointed to sit for a hearing. Yeah. So adding to the pool of possible members in case the current members have any conflicts of interest. Thank you.
And I would just say that through you, having just approved the recommendation for the commissioner, I would trust that the commissioner would be able to manage any perceived conflicts in terms of that. So I'd be happy to support.
Okay, so we're now moving to, nobody else wants to speak on that? No. So we're now moving to vote on B. All those in favour say aye. The contrary, no.
Me.
Would you like to record? Yes. So Councillor Swales and thank you. And we will move to, thank you so much. We'll move to C, notes, I'll move. Councillor Carey will second. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
You carried. Excellent. Item 12, Wellington Water half-year report to 31 December 25 on page 212 of the agenda. Do we have anyone joining us?
No, Your Worship. I thought we were having a member of the Wellington Water coming on, but yeah, in the case, someone next. Procedural nature in terms of receiving the report. No decision is sought. Recommendation is to receive a note. If there are any questions, I'm happy to record them.
Does anyone have any questions in relation to the half-year report? And that's the first time we've had. Oh,
through you, Chair, I just wanted to ask about the Pinehaven floodworks, where that will sit within TRQY or Wellington, or how it's carrying over, and whether how much of that process will stay with Upper Hutt.
Through Your Worship, so we'll be engaging with council on the next phase of Pinehaven at the workshop of the 21st of April, and we'll be able to share some more information in more detail.
Thank you. That's fine.
We had some emails earlier about where ultimate responsibility on that project sits. That with Upper Hutt City Council, that we're working with Wellington Regional Council as Wellington Water move away from that project.
So through the chair, the project has come back into and transferred back to Upper Hutt and Greater Wellington. We have a signed MOU that talks about a steering group. It was reporting through the Taonga flood committee that no longer exists. So where the steering group continues, it's a group between council officers, and we've been reporting to the workshop that you were part of, and we were in last week with the regional council workshop. And so we're just following the same mechanisms, but without a subcommittee home.
So just
follow up. Yep.
For clarity. So when Steve Pattinson comes in and speaks to that project, who is ultimately responsible for that project? Where should he direct his accountability? I guess community accountability. Where does that sit? Does it sit across both organisations?
It's a joint project, jointly funded project, and engages with both this council and the regional council on that project.
That's well.
So if I go to page 231 and number 16, and it talks about comparison of results from 6 months ended 31st of December, which as we know is that. My concern is under the revenue of OPEX and CAPEX. Revenue has been decreased by $51.2 million, right, driven by CAPEX programs revenue, which decreased by Is this a capacity thing that they don't have the capacity to deliver the projects that have been agreed by each of the entities that are part of Wellington Water?
Through your worship, so look, I wouldn't like to answer on behalf of Wellington Water, but you will recall they have had a major reset in their procurement processes, which has slowed some stuff down. So that is certainly part of it. And inside of that, there's also some small pockets of positive savings, such as you recall Logan Street, where we had a positive saving of a couple of $1 million after that procurement.
So knowing, I suppose my concern here is that, and I think it's great that we actually came under budget for that. But, you know, we rate our community for all of the water services that we have budgeted in any annual plan, right, as part of the LTP. And when it comes under budget, or sorry, a surplus is there because they haven't been able to deliver on the program of works, there's a carryover there, right? Now that carryover money, because it's been rated, is going to be part of the money that we hand over to Te Aki Wai on the 1st of July.
Through your wish, that's my understanding, but I'd need to double check that with the finance team.
So why don't we get a discount?
I also asked the same question in the Wellington Water Committee, and the answer, the initial answer I received is similar to what the group manager said in relation to the biggest driver of that is their reset of their procurement processes, and which is really positive. They're putting far more out to tender, which means that there's a delay in delivery, but it will somewhat, not entirely, but somewhat catch up in the second half of that financial year, because of that delay is sort of filtering through into delivery. So it won't, you know, the expectation is that it'll improve in this.
So they will be able to start those projects, not necessarily finish them, your worship.
Oh, I'm not going to answer on their behalf, but that was the release that I received in there.
Can we have some feedback on that, please?
Through your worship, that's why we requested them to be present so that they could give feedback directly on those questions. I will absolutely follow that up for you.
Thank you.
And no one should continue.
Your worship, the workshop on the 24th of April about Mana Stream, that open to the public?
Through your worship, I will have to come back to you on that.
Just for clarification with what Deputy White has asked, are you asking for, is that going to be live streamed, or are you asking, is that where they can sit in the room? Just for clarification.
Live stream.
Live stream.
That's right.
Yeah, we'll come back on that. That's not necessarily relevant to this paper being considered. Further questions? Okay, can I have a mover for receiving and noting Councillor Perry, Councillor Oliver, Seconder, Steve, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
No, Sarah, carried. Excellent. We move to the more fun part. Are we still not taking a break? We're okay, yeah. Is everyone okay for? Everyone okay? No one desperate to.
We don't want to hold the staff up.
Let's get it done and then we can ask stuff, we can go get dinner. Excellent. Item 13, Whirinaki Valley Taonga. We have the 6-month report on page 235 of the agenda. I will hand over to Mike Ryan, and we've got another special guest here. And would you like to come sit with us? Yes, please.
Through your worship, as I can speak to both of these reports, under the Local Government Act, council controlled organisations, CCOs, need to provide either a quarterly or a 6-monthly report to its shareholders and an annual report. This is the 6-month report from our 2 CCOs, Whirinaki and Kupenga, and it is the 6-month report from the 1st of July to the 31st of December 2025. What I would like to highlight is on the 28th of April, both CCOs, director and manager, along with the chairs, got 30 to 40 minutes each to present to council a little bit about what's been happening, the highlights for the last 18 months or so. But more importantly, present to council the draft statement of intent for 26, 27, 27, 28, 28, 29 to receive your feedback and your input into. So there's an opportunity to ask quite a lot of questions in that more informal environment, but certainly Leanne and Cindy are more than welcome to take questions on firstly the Whirinaki paper and then the paper Te Kupenga Arongamai. Thank you.
We will start with Whirinaki.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to say congratulations for the first, for the visitor numbers that you got through, which is 75,000 last year, and you're up to 89 for the half years, and literally have done your measures already. So in these tough economic times, I think it's outstanding.
Is there a question? No? Okay. Any other questions? No questions? Well, you've done a fabulous job then. Thank you both. We'll have a mover to receive and note the report. Councillor Dillon, Councillor McLeod as our mover and seconder. Would anyone like to speak? I'd just like to echo Councillor Weller's sentiment, and I see lots of nods that we are really impressed. Know that you work very hard, and it's clear that you've delivered our community some amazing opportunities. So thank you very much. So we will move to anyone else want to speak? We'll move to voting on that. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Contrary no. Declare that carried. Thank you very much, Leanne. And now we have the report to Kupenga. And this is on page 257. Mike's already introduced, and we'll move to questions on this report.
You must be happier with this one.
Oh, yes. Definitely. Yeah.
No, well done.
I love that you framed that as an actual question. You must be happy. Excellent. We're still understanding what is councillor's house.
So my question is to you, Mike, in reference in your opening gambit of both entities, where you're going to, or where we will be presented with a 3-year plan, like an LTP. That's going to be done in a public forum, right? But you're inviting us to actually give direction of anything that we want to add or take away. Is there going to be enough time for those directions, suggested directions that might come out of any conversation after what we see, to amend the plans for either entity? To amend what's been proposed over the next 3 years, will there? Because this will be in a live meeting, right? And normally those recommendations are that we're noting the paper, but you're opening it up that we can actually participate and give recommendations. Is that correct?
Through you, Your Worship, it's a workshop that we're bringing it to.
Right, not a meeting.
And then based on that feedback and the recommendations and a little bit of interaction around what both CCOs can and can't do, we will then bring in either the council meeting in May or the one in June for council adoption.
Can I just a subsequent question? I think is it right that that's the development of our statement of expectations, so that we so just for everyone, we're workshopping our statement of expectations, and then the response comes from it.
So this is the response through you, Worship, the response from the 2 CCOs, just saying, is this what you like? Is this we're heading in the right direction? And providing you the opportunity to give feedback to those statement of intents.
So just for clarity, so just for clarity, what are the 3 years?
26, 27, 27, 28, 28, 29. And that's what the statement of intent is. The 26, 27, that tends to have the greater component, and the 27, 28, 28, 29 are a little bit of what may be coming up and where they're heading financially as well.
Okay. The reason why I just wanted clarity for that, we've just adopted a proposed annual plan for 26, 27, which has both entities in. So I'm not quite sure why we're doing that when we've already agreed a budget, because I'm assuming whatever we have conversation or statement of intent we have, is gonna incur some funding or some fees.
So these processes are formalised and legislated, and something has to happen
Yeah,
first. So that's the.
If we're gonna discuss what they're gonna do in 26, 27, your worship, we've already had an agreement collectively around here of what that budget might look like, but we haven't put KPIs against it. I just want clarity.
The statement of intents are around the OPEX and the operation and what's being delivered. And certainly in the statement of intent, for not 26, 27, but 27 and 28, there are some recommendations and there will be some discussions around what might be required by both CCOs beyond that. 26, 27 is already locked in with our management agreements that we have in respect to our financial contribution.
One more question, sorry. So we agreed now I'm going to particularly Whirinaki. We agreed a program and KPIs for a period of time. So we're readdressing that program, measure and KPIs.
You wish we do that every year. So the statement of intent is 3%.
I'm going to move on because we've already actually approved that paper. So
No, but the same thing happens with both. So what I'm saying is that we agreed an outcome and now we're renegotiating that.
So okay. I think that there's a misunderstanding of the process because this is the annual. I'm not gonna. Anyway, we'll move on. Any further questions? No. Okay. So I'll move that we receive a note. The Chief Kupenga 6 months report. Made a seconder. Councillor Carey. Would anyone like to speak? All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
To the contrary, no. It's carried. Thank you very much. Thank you, Leanne. Thank you, Cindy. We've got a couple more things. A couple of minutes, and then I will give us a quick break, and then we'll reconvene for our special other item. Confirmation of minutes on page 275 of the agenda. This was the meeting on the 18th of February 2026. Does anyone have any questions about the accuracy of the record? Okay, so I move that the minutes are true and correct. Can I have a seconder? Councillor Dillon. And those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Contrary, no. Carried. On page 285, we have item 16.1. The approval of the minutes of the City Planning, Infrastructure and Environment Committee held on the 4th of March 2026. So we're now going to go to members who are present at the meeting. Do they have any questions? So I call Councillor Holness from your motion.
I move that the minutes of the City Planning, Infrastructure and Environment Committee meeting held 4th March 2026 are true and accurate record. Can I have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Carey. Those in support, please raise your hands. Say aye.
Aye.
I abstain. I wasn't there for the full meeting.
Yeah. Abstention recorded.
Thank you.
Carried.
Carried.
Cool. And then now I have to move that we receive the minutes of the City Planning, Infrastructure and Environment Committee meeting held on the 4th. Can I have a seconder? Councillor Holderness. Those in favour say aye.
Aye.
To the contrary, no. Carried. We have more. Page 295 of the agenda is the Risk and Assurance Committee minutes from 11th of March. Do any members who were present have questions? I call Councillor Swales, could you move the motion?
Absolutely. I move that the minutes of the Risk and Assurance Committee meeting held on the 11th of March 2026 are a true and accurate record. I can move. Can I please have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Whare. All those against? All those in favour?
Aye.
So moved.
Okay, so now we adopt the recommendation to receive the minutes of that meeting. I move that we receive the minutes. Can I have a seconder? Councillor Swales. Those in favour?
Aye.
Oh yes, yeah. Sorry. So just to be clear, that was I moved the council that council receives the minutes and adopts the recommendations of the Risk and Assurance Committee meeting. That was seconded by councillor Swales. Was everyone clear on that, or do I need to No, excellent. So
Presumably that's the same with this city planning. But Karen's shaking her head.
okay.
Oh, no, so it's risk, don't.
No.
Oh, because it's full council, so it's delegated
Yeah,
authority.
that's
Yep,
why.
yep.
Well done, Mayor.
Yep.
In governance we trust. Okay, page 302. No, we've just done that. Sorry. Haven't turned my page. Straight.
No,
No, you were right.
I was right.
Yeah.
Oh. I've got, oh, okay. So we haven't done this then?
No.
Approval of the minutes of the City Planning and Infrastructure Environment Committee held on the 4th of March. Do any members who are present at that meeting have any questions on the accuracy of those? I thought we had already done.
We've
No,
done that.
okay, sorry.
Should be there.
No, we did.
Oh, it's bigger. Oh, there is a mistake. It's not me. Okay, so item 16.3 is not about City Planning and Infrastructure Environment Committee. It is the record of the minutes of the Regulatory Processes Committee held on the 18th of March. And
Council.
can I call on Councillor Wheeler to move?
Right, I move that the Regulatory Process Committee confirm the regular meeting held on the 18th of March. As Princess, meeting. Seconder, councillor Dillon.
All.
Yep, I'll close the support.
Aye.
Who's against?
No.
Okay, so thank you. I move that the council receives the minutes of the Regulatory Processes Committee held on the 18th of March 2026. Can I have a seconder, councillor Wheeler? Those in favour?
Aye.
Aye.
No. Declare that carried. Okay, last thing, sort of. So now I move that the public be excluded from the consideration of the final item on the grounds that the public conduct of the proceedings will likely result from disclosure of information or could even for withholding exists. And the reason for withholding is to protect the privacy of natural persons. And can I have a seconder? Councillor Holderness, those in favour?
Aye.
To the contrary, no. Clear that carried.